As we initiate chaos theory guarantees that we'll play like lightning shots, sounding like thunder. For every time in the face that it hits us, we're faster. Well, they should know by now. They see the world keeps trying to shake us. It only waits us. The pendulum swings. The pendulum swings. It's in a beautiful darkness. Only another. It's full steam ahead. Full steam ahead. All above the Betty Express. Misdirected from the start. It's a runaway train. I come a freight train. I come a freight train. In a beautiful darkness, the Betty Express. In a beautiful darkness.
Hey, you guys, we are back and we are right before the lunch break. It looks like we were finished with the ICU nurse. So we're getting ready to go to a rather severe looking blonde, like a Terminator 3 uh fembot sort of um stern looking blonde. So that's kind of where we are. We are, probably going to have to catch up this weekend, but that's just how we're going to cover this case. I I have sort of watched ahead. That's kind of the luxury of going at our own pace, in that we are able to, you know, oh gosh, my brain is farting. We are able to, give things a break or anticipate some really rough testimony. I do know that we are going to get into, diary entries and characterizations of how Lindsay was behaving after, she kind of regained consciousness in the hospital. And Samantha Shoe Lover, the eyebrows are sending me, love it. It felt like an Angry Bird, kinda eyebrow day. I have a feeling the Commonwealth is going to send me. Now, we are going at our own pace, and, if you need look, this is a rough trial. On Fridays, we're gonna go nuts. Uh, and I may have found it, the female shag mullet, uh the court clerk. I am listening to the Bee Gees. I am going to get my falsetto correctly. I don't have anything in my closet which has ruffles, but I will find my most obnoxious blazer, uh, of which I have several. So this is happening. Um, for my own mental health, dressing up in general mockery is what we do here. But here's a couple of things we don't do. We never punch down here. I'm generally making fun of myself, if nothing else. Uh, you know, and this is an incredibly rough trial. So if I want to wear Angry Bird eyebrows, that's just what I'm going to do. Uh, you know, it seems that myself in this trial. So, you know what? If you find that this is unacceptable, let's see. Cinema Boys. I've missed a few days. Have I missed much, or is the Commonwealth still beating a dead horse? Normally, I wouldn't do this, but what I would say is I went on an unintentional screed for the first 20 minutes of Mornings with Mo that will give my general summation of what uh, 1 week and 1 day has boiled down to me. So I generally do not do this, but if you wanna get kind of all of my thoughts in one place in a kind of just a rant, I think it was 23 minutes, and we're going at our own pace in this trial, so, I would watch that and then come back here, because I think the Commonwealth has burnt out the emotional bandwidth of the jury. I think that their absolute inability to extend even the tiniest shred of humanity to Lindsay by just the simple, you know, refusing to give her the dignity of naming her. They're like, "Was the patient there? Do you see the patient?" Again, it doesn't take much to just allow her to have her name. You can think she's a monster, and generally in folklore, you would want to name the monster because then you would have power over it. To name something, to define something is to, somewhat take the power away from it in ancient folklore, which I know shouldn't really be a topic one would think about in court. But damn it, if D&D can't help everywhere, as I'm coming to learn. Now, we are going to attempt to speed it up a bit. What in the I'm telling you, Terminator 3, the one where they had the fembot, the killer fembot. Also, are you wearing your shell backwards? It just looks like it's not supposed to be that high up on your neck. It looks like you intentionally put it on backwards, which I I don't know why you would do that, but that looks like it's on backwards. It feels like it should be a cowl neck, but she's got the back part. I am all the confused. Now, if you are wondering what the wig, the shag fee mullet, look, my brain comes up with interesting ways to protect me from emotions. And this woman has unintentionally become like my favorite character in this trial. Um, she has the tonal quality of the long lost BG brother. She is full falsetto. She has assaulted my earballs many times in this trial. But she also dresses like she decided that, big hair, early '90s heart was her jam, and she is effing staying there, and screw you if time and fashion has moved forward. And there's something rather ballsy and kind of, like, awesome about that to me. So, as much as this might seem as a mockery, I tend to only mirror or um, if I'm mocking or I'm genuinely there is a part of your personality that genuinely I admire. And the ballsiness to just say, "Hey, this is my style regardless of time period. I'm staying here. I like it here, and this is me." There's something incredibly ballsy about that. So, while it might be a scotch of mockery, there is also a lot of admiration in there. This is how I communicate both admiration and confusion.
I'll just start, please.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hi.
Ask you to speak into that microphone, keep your voice up.
Okay.
All right. Feedback in, please.
Thank you.
Now, let me know if this is too fast. I do tend to speed up if we are a bit behind, but I have found in New England trials, it can be a little too fast, even at 1.25. So do let me know if it needs to slow down.
Good afternoon.
Hi,
Can you please tell the jury your first and last name?
Megan Collins,
Would you mind spelling your first name for the record?
Meghan, Collins, Collins.
Thank you. And what do you do for work?
I'm an ICU nurse.
And how long have you been a nurse?
11 years.
And did you go to school for that?
Yes.
Where'd you go?
Sacred.
No, no. It was a casting call. I look really good in scrubs. And they, if we're just actors in scrubs, the hospital gets to pay us less. Again, this is the reason I can't be a witness, because if you ask me this question, this is how I will respond when I'm nervous, because my filter tends, like at the one time that I would need my filter most desperately, it would fail me and I would respond to stupid questions with stupid answers and end up getting held in contempt of court as a witness.
What hospital do you currently work at?
Brigham and Women's.
And how long have you worked there?
Free the First Amendment. We are going at our own pace. The kiddos are starting school tomorrow, so we will be transitioning more to attempting to speed up and get back on track. But there's also the reality that with my body, with my condition, and with the emotional toll that this case takes, we might have to just go at our own pace. So, from this day forward, if the number days are off, like the actual mainstream, like contemporaneous trial is at day 10 and we happen to be on day 14, that's kind of how it is. So I completely understand if you know, I endeavor to catch up, like, by the end of the week so we can, start fresh with the, next week. But I also understand, and I am a delightful paradox of 2 type A dysfunction and chaos demon. So I am trying to be okay with the fact that despite all of my best intentions, we just might be behind, and we're just gonna watch at our own pace. So I figure if I say it enough, that knee-jerk discomfort of, possibly letting you guys down, if you guys know that's the expectation going forward, then I and it's not that you guys would be let down or anything like that, you guys don't make me feel pressured, but by letting you guys know that this is a reality and planning my life that this is a reality, it takes the pressure off of, trying to be a content creator without a chronic condition. So that's how we cover things here, and I'm just setting that expectation so I don't place pressure on myself.
8 years.
In January of 2023, what unit were you working on at the Brigham?
The trauma surgical ICU.
Did you work a particular shift?
I did.
And what shift was that?
7A to 7P.
So 7 a.m. to 7 p.m.?
And and to be fair, you want very type A, highly detail-oriented, highly, proficient people in ICU nurse, sort of positions. So I am not shocked that you would have a highly regimented, highly type A person as a nurse who might come off as warm or as less warm or caring than you would typically anticipate a nurse to kind of project. Uh, because in the ICU, I competence over maybe always social niceties might be a factor.
And you just have to answer out loud, sorry.
Oh, and I was gonna say she's
Okay,
on the
yes.
night shift, but no.
I'm going to draw your attention to a particular patient that was treated there beginning on January 24th, Lindsay Clancy. Are you familiar with that patient?
Yes,
Were you a nurse that was treating her during that day shift while she was in the ICU?
I was.
Are you aware that she arrived at that Brigham Hospital on January 24th of 2023?
When she was admitted to our ICU, it was overnight.
So as far as the hospital, do you know when she arrived at the hospital?
I believe the evening prior.
And you, a patient who comes to your hospital doesn't automatically come to the ICU, correct?
That's correct.
Where do they go first, usually?
The emergency room.
And you're aware this particular patient actually went through a local hospital before being transferred to the emergency department at Brigham and then to the ICU, correct?
Correct.
And so when you interacted with her, she had already been at the ICU unit for that night shift. Is that fair to say?
Correct. Interacted. She was intubated when she arrived.
And were you with her the entire day of the 25th from that 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. shift?
Yes.
And was she on what's called a 1-to-1 during that day?
Yes.
And what does that mean for you as the nurse if she's on the 1-to-1?
She was 1-to-1 nursing per our ratios because of how critically ill she was.
And so you were there pretty much the entire time?
Correct.
Were there any other people there other than the medical staff and yourself treating her? Were there any other people there?
They were officers, police officers.
And they were outside the room?
Correct.
Had you taken over care of this patient from another nurse on the night shift?
Yes.
And who was that?
Rochelle.
And you are familiar with Rochelle? You've worked with her before?
Yes, I have.
And were you advised that over the course of the night shift that this patient had coded?
I was.
And when you came on shift in the morning, because of what had happened overnight, were you aware that she was sent for additional CT scans?
And here is the thing that I think that and it's particularly jarring to me, these sort of disconnects between the subject matter and the tonality in someone's voice have always really been one of those bugbears that bother my brain. But the smile or the perkiness in the prosecutor's voice is grating and so out of place. It's you can hear the smile in this, and this, whether rightly or wrongly, the perception that this is a malicious and spiteful and genuinely with malice, like they want Lindsay to suffer. And in a highly charged case like this, you do not want this to seem in any level that you are here for your own personal axe to grind. And it very much appears like these two Commonwealth attorney have an axe to grind with I don't know, women in general, who aren't them, who don't fit their very narrowly defined, definition of what a good woman is. They seem to have labeled Lindsay as vapid and have given her less respect than you would a dog. And I don't think that's a good look. And I think that is a terrible thing to alienate, any potential juror 1 week and 1 day into your trial, into a potentially 6 to 8 week long trial. Because if you think my growing irritation, because if I were a juror, I would be second guessing myself. This is maybe your perception. I can't talk to anyone, so I am going to work doubly hard to fight this perception. I am probably the first person you want on a jury, because any sort of bias that comes in, I am going to interrogate greatly and fight against it, because I am so focused on being unbiased. So I will naturally try to fight against my dislike of how the Commonwealth is showing this case. But there's only so much of that you can extend. And to burn that out within the first 2 weeks of a potentially 8 week long trial, I don't, are they trying to throw this case, or is this just an axe to grind against, the phantom Regina Georges that were mean to them? It feels like Lindsay Clancy has become the human avatar of every, popular girl that was mean to them. And they get to take out all that residual pain and judgment and ick out on Lindsay. And it's showing, or at least that's what I'm picking up. And I shouldn't be picking that up from a righteous and solid case. I shouldn't be picking that undertones up. It shouldn't be that grating to me, and it's too early in a long case for you to alienate the jury this way.
We went for CT imaging in the morning when I got there because she was not stable overnight.
Okay. And you said she was intubated, correct?
Correct.
How about, was she responsive during that first day that you encountered her?
The first shift that I had her, we were focused on her injuries and keeping her sedated. So the interactions, responses were minimal, but that was intentional, as she was, again, like I said, so critically ill.
And so you also said that she was sedated for the majority of that day, correct?
Yes.
And is that something that often happens when a person is intubated, that they're sedated?
It is.
What happens if an individual isn't under sedation and they're intubated?
It is patient dependent, but majority of patients are not able to tolerate the breathing tube and it's uncomfortable. So we give them medications to keep them as comfortable in tolerating the breathing tube as possible.
Now, you mentioned treating injuries and keeping the patient stable as your primary goal, correct? Were you able to make note of some physical injuries that the patient had?
Yes.
And were there some obvious injuries that you could observe?
Yes.
To her neck and wrist
Screw
area?
No. Okay. Sorry. I forgot my other rule, and we will probably catch up because
Marked as Exhibit 142
no.
and 143.
Oh, no, I don't want this up here. How did you get up here? No. I am a professional. Pause. Damn you. I refuse to go over this Commonwealth. I'm going to try to explain this without crayons or turning into Samuel L. Jackson, but I need to break this down as Crayola, 8-pack as I can. Now, you can either have the Lindsay, who is the mastermind of all things and manipulative as hell, or you can have a woman that is struggling or some degree of this in between. But there are some facts that we all effing agree on. I believe we can all, like even the most unsympathetic of us on Lindsay's side, can agree that she is mother effing paralyzed. So whether you want to classify it as, a fake attempt or not, where are you going with this, Commonwealth? I know what they're doing. They're trotting out the, wrist wounds and the neck wounds, but two things can be true at the same time. You know, these wounds could have been not detrimental or, uh, incompatible with life, but, the catastrophic thoracic wounds sure did almost damn near do the trick. And the willful ignoring of those facts to focus on whether you think these wounds were significant or not is irritating. Not to mention, the Commonwealth wanted to say this is not about mental health. Well, I beg to fucking differ. And I'm going to go off here just a little bit. I went off, I don't even remember when I went off the last time. Look, this case is just gonna be random, like, Mo rants. But as someone who deeply loves and cares about someone who had no other words or had no other way to stop the hurt that was going on inside them than to engage in some self-harm, and they only became brave enough to, share this with me. And I had to look at them and say, one of these days, these scars that you're ashamed of are gonna be badges of honor of things you survived. And if you're incredibly lucky, the universe is gonna put someone there that needs to hear these words from you in front of you. And what you have walked through isn't going to, be worth it or anything like that, nothing trite like that. But you will get the incredible gift and give the incredible gift of being able to say the words that you needed to hear exactly when you needed to hear them. And it's only happened a couple times in my life. But I can tell you that sometimes just a little bit of human kindness goes the right way, goes a long way. And minimizing this, how many people now feel more alone because she's minimizing calling these, fake. They're not fake. They may not have been successful, but they're still a cry for help. And to minimize them into a fakery, how many more Lindsays do we need to have? This is also why we go at our own pace. Because for whatever good I can do, whatever, whoever needs to see this video, someone might need to hear that. And we'll take the time and the space to get that out for the people that might need to hear it, because these two women are doing more damage to mental health and the stigma of mental health than honestly Freud did in our understanding of psychology.
I'm going to show you on the screen what's been marked as Exhibit 142.
Oh, but that brings me all to say that we will just be skipping mostly to the defense's cross-examination, if any. we have found in cases like the Canero trial where sometimes one side just proves to be so inaccurate and so grating because of their inaccuracy and personalities that we will zip through, and go to the cross where we can pretty much get everything we actually need.
Whittington.
Afternoon, I think. Yeah. How many years you been a nurse?
11.
And you obviously take that position as very serious, and your concern is to protect your patient. Is that right?
That is.
You made reference to the fact that she was changing her documents as far as healthcare proxy.
Yes.
Did you know anything? Did you know who she was changing it from? Her husband to her mother and father, or did you know anything about the specifics?
She was changing it from Patrick to her parents.
Thank you. And finally, what is a DNR?
DNR means do not resuscitate.
Do you know what her DNR was?
Her code status was full at the time that I took care of her.
Do you recall that she had indicated repeatedly that she wanted a DNR, that she did not want to be resuscitated if emergency arose?
I was not privy to that knowledge.
Okay, but that's noted in the medical record. It would be noted in the records, right?
It would be, yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Attorney Buckingham.
Free the First Amendment. So I am still trying to find time and the energy to go over the civil lawsuit. But from what I gather of the timeline of the children, the first birth was incredibly traumatic. I think there was a lot of blood loss and significant tearing. And I'm not a clinician, I'm not a mental health professional, but what I will say is that having those kind of injuries maybe possibly required Lindsay to slow down and accept help, which a lot of high functioning, high masking, overachieving women that present as, high strung or over anxious, we tend to overbook, overplan, over extend ourselves to the point where we melt down, break down, or everything falls apart. And my unprofessional kind of supposition is that with those kind of significant tears and issues with the birth, she was forced to slow down and accept help, probably despite herself, and that maybe made a lot of the postpartum struggles lesser. But also, if she was already high functioning and considered high strung and all of those things, it is possible that she was dealing with, again, not as a professional, but from my own personal experience, um, you know, she was presenting with a way any clinician would maybe say, you have anxiety or depression, but you're high functioning. So I don't know if it was a factor that she was always, highly masking depressed, or if she did experience, now there is proof that, according to the defense's experts, that in rare cases, postpartum, the fluctuations in hormones and different things like that can trigger a latent or underlying. I don't quite understand it all. I do hope the experts are easy to understand and relatable, because I do feel like this is going to be going into the weeds of a lot of things that are incredibly complex. Um, it is possible to trigger, bipolar. Kind of think of it like this, because this is how I've kind of had to understand my brain in the last couple years. My brain before I got hurt was able to mask, and it was just a normal everyday survival. And yeah, I kind of got tired. Yeah, I didn't quite understand why all sensations and things just, seemed to bother me more than other people. But I internalized it as, okay, I've always been highly sensitive. I know I intake more information than other people. This is just what my brain requires. But I was able to, executive function was handled. I, had all these things, but I had all of these systems running in the background that were able to catch these little glitches and then edit them in the background, and I could function. I didn't really even think about what I was doing. And then I got hurt, and all that bandwidth, that had been quietly in the background correcting code and kind of catching glitches, its power was needed elsewhere to deal with this pain and this confusion. And I'm suddenly working with a brain that doesn't have any of those, glitch removers. Uh, so it's very easy to be able to handle everything until you can't. And you never know when that straw that breaks the camel's back on your executive function, background coding is gonna break. You don't know when that is, but, the cascade and just the crazy amount of hormones and expectations and sleep deprivations that happen in the, first couple weeks of having a new baby, um, it's not shocking to me that that would be very similar to in my understanding of things, y my pain taking away my executive function. So everything that you thought I was dealing with A-okay, I'm not. I am actually a mess, and you're finally able to see that mess. Uh, so there were documented signs that she was struggling in the 2nd, pregnancy, and then in the 3rd pregnancy, um, everything went haywire. So that if you were to ask me to be an expert and to give my best kind of using my own personal, experience as my expertise, that would be my opinion of the situation, but I am anxiously awaiting the experts because I'm a layperson. I only know from my own personal experiences, and I could be 100% wrong about all of this. So I do wait for the experts, but that was kind of my read on this and sort of how she presented.
Nothing further.
All
Thank
right,
you.
thank you. Please sit
Thank
down.
you.
Thank you.
Commonwealth calls Dr. Shah.
I just can't with her voice anymore today. Like I said, we're catching up, and I can't deal with the Commonwealth today. Just can't. I done tried. Um, I also here's the other thing, and I think that the rest of us deserve an answer. Those of us who are struggling, and legitimately, I would like an answer from either the Commonwealth or, those that find that Lindsay was a manipulative swamp donkey, nothing else. That is their only, that is how deep they have analyzed this case. What is the socially acceptable way to display, mental health issues? Do we have to drool in the corner to get attention? Do we have to, scream uncontrollably wearing only tinfoil and Saran wrap a la, fried green tomatoes? Don't tempt me because I have always wanted to, well, forever scar a UPS man. So like I said, don't throw down the, Saran wrap dress, gauntlet, because I mean, don't tempt me with a good time. But honest to God, are we supposed to display the most archaic, the most, 1950s, one-dimensional understanding of mental health in order to get help? Because honestly, for those of us who are just realizing that so many of our coping mechanisms were us screaming in the middle of of a crowded room asking for help, and no one was listening because they just didn't know that those were us screaming. And I'm not bitter towards the society. I don't hold hatred toward the society that didn't understand how I was communicating, because I didn't understand it either. But I do hold absolute contempt to the parts of our society that refuse to learn that there might be ways that people are screaming for help that don't include wearing, running around talking about the end times, or screaming like Ernest P. Worrell in, Scared Stupid, trolls are coming, trolls. It is 2026. And I should not have to say that mental health is not going to look like the movies or cartoons. I realize saying this while I have Angry Bird eyebrows is possibly somewhat undermining my message here, but it still stands. Maybe a lot of us were screaming, but no one had the tools to listen. And we're not asking for sympathy, and we're not asking for a pity party. Hell, we're just learning that we were screaming ourselves. So we're just as confused and new to the club that this is our screaming. But what do we have to do to get noticed and get actual care and actual attention and actual focus and actual, someone to give a damn? Because we've tried your way and it doesn't seem to be working. And it doesn't seem like we've moved forward as a society. So please, I am honestly not being sarcastic. I am not being hyperbolic. Please, anyone tell me how we are supposed to effectively communicate to get goddamn noticed by the medical community and the mental health community, because I am legitimately at a loss. I do not know. So if by God you have, the infinite judgment to be able to spout off on the internet, please let me know your better alternative ideas, because I'm willing to take any advice at this point. Or possibly, kindly admit there might be a a reality in this world that you have no perspective on. And that's okay. We don't ask you to be mind readers or understand everyone's perspectives, but what we do ask is that you listen to what it really is, rather than what you think it is or what cartoons told you it was. I mean, it's the least you could do as a fellow human. Hell, I tried to fit in with you normies for 42 years. So the least you could do is try to maybe figure out just a scotch about us neurospicy people.
And so her focus at that time appeared to be her physical.
I'm sorry. I can't. I cannot with the Commonwealth.
And then your last,
Oh,
her
God, her
about
words.
ventilation.
To your opinion and your testimony, and correct me if I'm wrong, was she, to your opinion and your experience, an honest patient telling you what her symptoms were, if any?
Objection.
That's an evaluation in the psychiatric.
I'll allow that question.
Yes.
In other words, she didn't go off and try to exaggerate to you and say, I'm seeing visions and I'm hearing voices and I'm suicidally ideated.
And this is the other hard thing, and I can only speak for myself. And by the time that we are usually out of control enough and at the end of our rope enough to ask for help, and we're not listened to and we're medically gaslit, I can honestly tell you that I will take a, 10-level pain day over sitting at a doctor, and this has happened. I've gone through more doctors than Sarah Boone has gone through attorneys, ironically. Um, but there is nothing more crushing to me, and I can say this honestly. I would rather deal with the worst pain I know I can possibly imagine. And I know what that looks like for me, and I know the hell that is, than to get my hope up. And God, I feel so bad for Mr. Mo. He had to nurse me through this so many times because you get a new doctor and you're like, "Okay, I have filled out all this paperwork," and it gets a little bit less each time. You learn to temper your enthusiasm, but hope is a son of a bitch, and hope keeps you going. Hope is the greatest thing, but it kills you a little bit more each time when you have to go to a new doctor, and a new doctor, and a new doctor. And then, to be told that you simply are, you have to think it away. You just have to change your personality. Here's some art therapy. Here's some gentle yoga stretches. And you just kinda wanna laugh at the therapist and the people that are trying to sell you this absolute horseshit. And look, it's not because they don't want they have genuine compassion. They wanna help. But this is one of those things that you just don't get unless you get it. And I mean that with absolutely no disrespect. Because we are loved by some of the most caring people that want to understand what we go through to try to help us out. Mental health professionals do better, but there is nothing more crushing to me on this journey with chronic pain than the roller coaster of thinking you found a medical person that will listen to you only to realize that you are just being ignored again. And to have to go through the humiliation of being, at the end of your 30s and having to bring your husband along to doctor's appointments so that doctors will listen to you, so that he sees how these doctors are treating you, because sometimes you're like, "Maybe I'm," and to have your husband walk out of, an office visit with you and look at you and said, "He doesn't listen to you at all, what you say, does he?" And I said, "I tried to tell you, I wondered if it was just me, that's why I brought you along." But the fact that the doctor would listen to my husband's assessment of my pain and not mine, there is, a certain level of dehumaning that does to a person who has always felt like a functional human being and is still 99%, well, okay, 73%, still a functional human being, and to be treated like you're not even in the room. So, yeah, you don't get it until you get it. So, kindly, and I do mean this. If you genuinely have a better way for us to do this, please let us know because we're kind of exhausted, just surviving. So if you have a cheat code, that would be awesome. But also, and I'm throwing this out there, and I'm not trying to be a sassy, but my general delivery tends to come off tonally as bitch. Kindly be open to the possibility that there are realities and perspectives that you will never get. And just because you cannot fathom them doesn't mean that they are not real to the people who are living them. It simply means that you are lucky enough to not know, to not get it. And we're glad that you don't get it. but kindly leave your pontificating to those of us who do, or offer solutions that work, or kindly keep your mouth hole shut. Signed, every single one of us who's dealing with something and doesn't have all the answers. To the pontificating cheat code havers of the Twitter sphere, let us know kindly. We expect these by the end of business hours. Since you know better, we would like typed neatly, double spaced so that we can make corrections, and in Comic Sans, because this is about the level of maturity I'm going to treat these with. Your dissertations on how we should live our lives correctly and to your exacting expectations. Clock's ticking.
And I'm homicidally ideated. She didn't say any of those things to you, did she?
No,
She actually denied them, right?
correct.
So this is not, in your opinion, someone who was trying to exaggerate her conditions for some legal reason, correct?
No,
And you obviously were in close contact with her for about a month, right?
that's right.
Just a couple of questions. Counsel asked you whether or not, and I think it may have been in the beginning in January, that you had difficulty understanding her. Obviously, after removing the tubes and everything else, you're able to talk with her, correct?
Correct.
And you knew that one of the concerns, if you will, was postpartum issues. You knew that, right?
Yes.
And in your experience as a psychiatrist, you're familiar with the concept of postpartum psychosis, correct?
Yes.
And you know that people can communicate and plan and act on plans, even if they're in the middle of a psychosis, right?
Yes.
You don't have to be drooling and stumbling and unable to walk and talk to be in a psychosis, do you?
No.
So in other words, a person can be in a psychosis and can communicate to friends, family, people, talk, correct? So you
And it's not like we don't know this, you guys. And I tend to speak through pop culture, but Robin Williams, possibly a man who made some of the most empathetic movies, who touched millions of lives with his kindness, who made a bunch of people smile, was dealing with stuff we would never know about. If you think people can't mask, look at Robin Williams. The man used his humor to fight battles that we will never understand he fought. And he did it and brought joy. Now, I know there's allegations that he stole jokes, but on really bad days on this journey, I have needed Patch Adams like on a loop, like a morphine drip, just to restore my faith in medicine. So people can be carrying a shit ton and you would never know it.
You didn't, as counsel asked, you didn't have any difficulty understanding her. She wasn't slurring her words or anything like that when she was able to talk.
Right.
Okay. One of the things that when she was admitted, and then without going through, I'm not going to go through all the stuff we've already talked about with her medical condition and everything else, you indicated that she was very, very ill, correct?
Correct.
Did she appear to be cooperative to you when you would interact with her?
Yes.
As a doctor, as a psychiatrist, you're familiar with bipolar, the concept of a bipolar diagnosis, correct?
Correct.
Can you tell me what bipolar means?
Yeah, so bipolar disorder is a mood disorder, categorized as a mood disorder, where patients have distinct depressive episodes, as well as, depending on the type of bipolar disorder, either hypomanic episodes or manic episodes, to the point where they don't sleep for days, they still have lots of energy, there's this decreased need for sleep, there could be irritability, there can be impulsiveness, racing thoughts.
Now, I do want to posit something, and this is another luxury of going at our own pace, and this is just from my own personal research. Um, I do tend to deep dive into things that very much interest me, and as more research is coming out, and uh, it does appear that women are diagnosed with these sort of anxiety disorders when they might be presenting or masking or later diagnosed with an autism spectrum disorder, or ASD. It is looking like and medical or mental health is finally becoming aware of the toll that masking, and internalizing is or has taken on a lot of women who are seeking or trying to understand, why they are facing insurmountable burnout in their 40s, why, things seem to be they able to function with them, and now things that they used to be mild annoyances. And it does seem that medical science and diagnostic criteria for autism in women, um, with different neurological brain patterns has been, perceived and manifested as, OCD, diagnoses, ADHD, anxiety, bipolar, a lot of different things, that they're coming to find out, might be components of masking, neurodivergence. Now, I'm not saying that's the case in Lindsay's, uh, situation, but I I do wonder if, there is going to be a bit of a reckoning in mental health, as more women are being diagnosed, and, science is coming to understand how female neurodivergence presents. I don't mean to say that everyone is tismy or anything like that, but I do think that there has been a mass overlook of how girls present with neurodivergence that has manifested as a lot of mental health problems, um, that may be an underlying neurodivergence and not so much anxiety. I'm not saying that these anxiety disorders don't exist, but I do think that there might need to be a deeper look going forward, and I do hope that that is something that changes. And symbiose, Mo, there are many levels to what you are saying. In my opinion, providers don't often have time they need to properly treat their patient. No, I look. I'm not a genius. I don't have a magic wizard. I know that there are constraints on time. There are constraints on the emotional bandwidth that doctors have and the patient load that would be ideal for treating the whole person and not just symptoms. But the structure of our health system is such that it's not set up to facilitate actually treating the person. And I don't know how you get from the system that we have currently to one that works better. But I know that we need to take steps to see what that would look like and try to figure it out because things could change. We could do things for the better. Just because something is hard and we don't know what it would look like doesn't mean we shouldn't try to make things better. Because what we have right now is obviously failing a lot of people.
A lot of patients describe that they're out of control of their behavior, and then severe episodes can also include psychosis.
And in reference to bipolar, as you were referring to, when somebody is hypomanic, what does hypomanic mean?
Yeah, it's a lesser degree of mania. So when patients are hypomanic, they don't always experience things like psychosis, but they might experience some of the other symptoms that I described, including racing thoughts, kind of moving too quickly, talking too quickly, being irritable.
And as it relates to the hypomania, would that include things such as somebody who is getting up early in the morning and exercising, or cleaning out their house, or selling their property out of a garage and having difficulty sleeping, and they're awake all night?
Yes.
as a psychiatrist, one of the things you were concerned about when you were first started to deal with her, as well as when you were releasing her, if you will, is the medication that she had on board, so to speak, when she came into the hospital, right?
Yes.
Do you remember, and I know it's difficult to recall offhand, but do you recall the medications that she was actually under from purposes of taking her blood when it was tested?
When she first came to the hospital?
Yeah, if you know.
I believe her medication list for, previous to the incident, she was on amitriptyline, diazepam. I believe she was also on prescribed lorazepam, and there may have been one other.
Okay.
Sure.
So looking at that, if I tell you that there was a toxicology report done on her as of January 24th by way of taking her blood. You're familiar with that, right? When they analyze for toxicology. And toxicology obviously would tell us what the medications, if any, what type of drugs she had on board, booze, cocaine, anything, right?
Yes.
And you're aware that the toxicology report, as well as the report from the Department of State Police, as well as the NMS laboratory, which would be in Pennsylvania. So that's an international or a national respected laboratory, isn't it? The NMS lab, if you know?
I don't know.
Okay. But you know that they did take her blood, they did test her blood, and it was at the state police laboratory as well as any other labs that tested it, right?
Yes, I believe I found that out later. I did not know that the first time I saw her because those labs take a little bit of time to come
Sure.
back.
And you treated her for about a month, so you were pretty
That's
close
right.
to her and got to know her quite well.
Yes.
Would you agree with me that one of the things that her blood reflected or that she was on was trazodone?
Yes.
And can you tell me what trazodone is?
Yeah, trazodone is an antidepressant medication. It's more often utilized as a sleep aid because of one of the side effects is sedation. And so patients that are often having difficulty sleeping are placed on trazodone.
And is trazodone, does that share some of the qualities of what I refer to as SSRI?
Granny Smith, I'll have to see how the defense's case shapes up. I don't think I think that Attorney Reddington is going to be very reluctant. He is very protective of Lindsay, and I don't think that you need to have her on the stand. I think if they've got good experts, and I have a feeling that Attorney Reddington is going to find good experts. If you have followed me over on Megan Fox's page, the good Megan Fox, medium smart Megan Fox, uh, we are covering, we've covered the Hernandez and the Timms case, and uh, notable in both of those trials, the same defense team picked experts that were not only very, very knowledgeable, but very good at explaining complex things, things that they've spent years and years and years learning, um, effectively and not condescendingly to lay people. So I do hope, and I think that Attorney Reddington is going to do a good job with experts. But I think if you have good experts that can effectively communicate concepts like masking, because as much as I speak from a place of experience, I do understand the absolute, if you haven't lived this, your disbelief that someone could mask anything of this magnitude. I do understand that. I can understand how you have to, the only thing that makes sense to how you have lived your entire life is that this is manipulation. So I do understand that. So I hope that they find experts who can explain masking and all of these very, very complex kind of topics in a way that's easy for the jury to intake. And I think you're right. I don't think they would put her on stand, and I don't think you need to. I don't think this is like the Carmelo Anthony case where the idea or the not putting him on the stand, I think, was a misstep. Regardless of what the state would have brought back as far as bad facts in his history, I think that had Carmelo wanted more mercy than I think he received from the jury, I think he needed to humanize himself. That doesn't make it right. But I think there was a world where if Carmelo Anthony had testified, I was a jerk, I was picking a fight, I'm a little guy. You know, once it was wrong, it was stupid, but I realized I had been a pain in this guy's ass. I had been a jerk. And he started walking over to me, and I didn't know if I had just signed, my mouth had just signed a check that I wasn't going to be able to answer. Now, none of that makes it right. None of it makes it, something that doesn't need accountability. But I think it would have softened and humanized Carmelo Anthony regardless of whatever little bits, whatever his past history. Now, he can't out and out lie. Like, you can't say that story and then it's not at all the truth. But I think if the truth had been presented and the truth had been all fact patterns lined up and he'd gotten on the stand and presented that with regret, with sorrow that a life was lost, I think that the outcome would have been different.
SSRIs, even though, or SSRI, even though it's not an SSRI, she has similar qualities.
Yes.
Can you tell me what SSRI means?
Yeah, so that's a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, and it's a class of medications that are antidepressants.
And the SSRIs, that would also include Zoloft, for example?
Correct.
Would also include Prozac, for example?
Yes.
Are you, as a psychiatrist, aware that Zoloft and or SSRI Prozac should not be prescribed to a patient who has bipolar?
Yeah, it can be prescribed. Oftentimes it's prescribed together with another medication that can be protective because patients with bipolar disorder may be experiencing depression. And so they may be prescribed an antidepressant, but along with another medication that what we call protective.
And
Okay, so the solution is to give them a pill with side effects that are bad, but you give them another pill that hopefully takes care of those bad side effects? Does anyone see why we may be a little confused as to why you call yourselves experts in mental health when you're essentially throwing, chemical Molotov cocktails into people's brains and you're like, well, we're not really sure, but sometimes, bad side effects, so another medication.
in reference to the SSRIs, the selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, what does that mean? Selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor. What does that mean?
Yeah, so oftentimes in depression, patients are kind of lacking serotonin in the spaces in their brain that helps.
Can I interrupt you? What is serotonin?
Yes, serotonin is a neurotransmitter. So it's a hormone in the brain that works on the brain. It works in other areas in the body as well, but for these purposes, it works in the brain at nerve endings throughout the body. And that neurotransmitter helps with things like mood regulation. For patients with depression, they're often lacking kind of that ability to have enough serotonin in those spaces. And so a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor prevents serotonin being kind of sucked back into the cell. So it allows for serotonin to be more available.
And what is an SSA? What does that mean? Antagonist, selective serotonin antagonist.
So those are medications that kind of do the opposite.
Okay. And you knew, as a psychiatrist, at least looking at her history, you knew that she had been seeing psychiatrists immediately prior to her suicide attempt, correct?
Correct.
And you knew that she had been prescribed a number of drugs by these various psychiatrists, correct?
Correct.
And to your knowledge, was she prescribed diazepam?
Yes.
Valium? Was she prescribed buspirone, otherwise known as Vanspar?
Yes.
About Wellbutrin?
Yes.
And what is Wellbutrin? Is that an antidepressant?
It is an antidepressant.
Hydroxyzine. What is hydroxyzine?
It can be used for a number of reasons, but for psychiatric purposes, it's often used as an anti-anxiety medication.
And Klonopin.
Yes.
Is hydroxyzine, is that a, strike that. Klonopin, that's a benzodiazepam, right?
That's correct.
And then lamotrigine.
Yep, lamotrigine.
Lamotrigine, sorry.
Yes,
What type of medication is that? Is that a mood stabilizer?
it is. Yeah, it's also an anti-seizure medication, but in the psychiatric realm, it's used as a mood stabilizer.
And then we talked about Prozac. That's an SSRI, correct?
Correct.
And what's Remeron?
Also an antidepressant.
So in addition to all of the drugs that I had mentioned, she was also prescribed Remeron, correct?
Correct.
She was also prescribed Seroquel or quetiapine.
Yeah, quetiapine, yes.
Quetiapine, okay.
Ma'am, not to denigrate your entire profession, but you do realize that you creepily smiling at all of the medications that you guys barely understand how they function in the human brain. Like you guys don't understand how the anti-seizure drug, affects mood, but it does. So you're using it, but you don't understand the exact functions. And even neuroscientists will admit that we are maybe at the beginning of understanding steam engines. If you want to make an analogy as to how our understanding of the brain is there, we've gone from thinking that, the Earth is the center of the universe or the galaxy, the solar system to, the sun. But we are barely scraping the surface of our understanding of how this complex, thing works here. And the fact that you are giggling over the thing, I have a feeling that this kind of open-eyed stare is kind of her, I have to make eye contact and I fucking hate it, so I will do it, but I will look incredibly creepy while doing it. Um but this sort of giggling hysterically at the amount of pills you are lobbing at this woman's brain. Again, this is complex. You guys know names, the Latin names to all of these things. You guys can dissect it. But you still are at the age of a toddler in understanding exactly how this works. And if you could just have the humility to admit that, and then maybe the absolute, you could lose some of the absolute hubris that you have while you're lobbing these chemical Molotovs at our brains. That would be helpful.
Okay, and what is Seroquel?
So Seroquel is an antipsychotic medication.
And she was prescribed, as we already talked, trazodone. Was she also prescribed amitriptyline?
Yes.
What is amitriptyline?
Amitriptyline is one of the older antidepressants. It's a tricyclic antidepressant that can often be used to help with sleep, but also mood.
And Ambien, correct?
Correct.
And Zolpidem.
Yep, Zolpidem is the generic name of Ambien.
Oh, okay.
How was she functioning? No one looked around and said, we are giving this woman enough medications that she should be drooling in the corner, but she has the energy of a manic magpie. Anyone have any idea why that would be? Should we just give her another tranquilizer? I don't know. Sounds good to me. Also, that pause face. Y'all wonder why I don't go to psychiatrist. No way in hell am I telling this woman my darkest secrets. And I'm sure she's a lovely lady, but dear God, nope. Nope.
Some of these drugs, they also have what's called a suicide warning or a black box warning. Isn't that right?
Yes.
Can you tell me what that means?
Yeah. So in studies that have been done, some of them show that especially after starting an antidepressant, it can increase someone's risk of suicidality. Many of those studies showed that it was mostly in adolescents and young adults, but it can happen in adults as well.
Again, I hate to be afflicted with noticing. You're prescribing a medication for depression that actually increases depression paradoxically. And you know that there is a certain segment of the population that this is going to be a lit stick of dynamite that you are handing a person. You don't hate the medical establishment enough. You do not hate big pharma enough. You do not hate enough. Let the hate flow through you. I understand that pulling out a Sith reference when I look more like the Red Queen from the more recent Wonderland movies is a bit hard. But the absolute hubris with which they do this, the absolute, we know that this is a risk, but I mean, we warn people on our commercial, so no sweat off our ball sack. Let's prescribe away.
And Celexa was also a drug. Is that an SSRI too?
It is.
And all of these drugs that we just went through were all prescribed from September, end of September till January.
Yes, September 2022.
4-month period.
Yes.
It's an awful lot of drugs to be prescribed in 4 months, isn't it?
Objection.
Sustained.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Commonwealth redirect?
Yes.
And we get to skip right through that because I don't like this. I really don't like the psychiatrist. And for the fact that I know when I am very irritated about a subject and I do not want to go scorched earth on a witness who I know is not their problem. It is not them that I'm
Okay,
irritated.
but her initial
And to
identification, that's important.
Keep, sell, no longer.
That obviously would not be indicative of hypomania, would it?
probably
A normal person could have, as counsel said it. How about a person that at the same time can't sleep because the insomnia is so bad they go 48 hours without sleep? Is that something to be considered in the whole?
And I want you to consider, again, it's not the lack of sleep, it's the lack of restful, restorative, reparative sleep. I don't think Western medicine or the medical industrial complex gives enough consideration to the fact that this needs to recharge. And for some of us who are neurospicy, getting to that deep restorative sleep is elusive. And maybe there are things that we can do other than throw a pill at it. That if you took time to talk to us about our environment, what are we doing that is setting us up for failure? You could maybe, not love more chemicals into our already overexcited nervous system.
Evaluation?
yes.
How about the fact of a person saying that my brain is broken and that they can't concentrate, they can't think? Is that something that the person you would consider in conjunction with the messy garage and the exercise?
Yes.
Thoughts of hurting themselves, suicidal ideation, that's something that's important to evaluate?
Yes.
Homicidal ideation, telling your husband that you're having thoughts about hurting your children, that's something you consider, isn't it?
Yes.
In reference to counsel's comment about just 3 medications that she was on prior to trying to commit suicide, you're not aware of the doctors telling her to discontinue this medication, start a new medication, go on to a different medication, depending on the doctor. You're not aware of that, right?
No.
And finally, if you know, did she sign a DNR, do not resuscitate?
She asked to the day after the first evaluation that I did of her, which was the capacity assessment to change her healthcare proxy. But in the context of her reporting a serious suicide attempt, we did not change her code status. We continued to chat with her about that, and she ultimately came to the conclusion that it made
Chat? Ma'am, I hope you don't go in with this false perkiness because I don't know anything more grating than white knuckling it and barely holding on to life. And then someone coming in to tell me they're going to chat to me about something. I'm not saying that you're going to get treated like an asshole, but you're going to get treated like an asshole from me. And look, it's in self-defense.
sense to make sure that her mental health was stable before she considered her code status.
Okay, but her initial reaction or her conversations with you all was that she wanted to have a do not resuscitate status.
Correct.
Thank you.
Commonwealth?
Nothing further.
All right, thank you, Doctor.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, let's see who the next witness is. Oh, it looks like we're on lunch break. Talking heads, babbling. And not even the respect to actually play the good talking heads because their music rocked. No, just actual babbling talking heads.
This court's now in session. Please be seated.
Your Honor, for the purpose of the record, we return back to the trial, Commonwealth versus Lindsay, Clancy. All parties are present, including the defendant and including the 18 jurors.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. Commonwealth, ready to call your next witness?
Yes, Your Honor. The Commonwealth calls Dr. Biswas.
No, we're not going. She was able to like brush her teeth, so like she was totally faking it. Okay, we're going to the cross.
I documented that I did not note those.
And in doing that, in evaluating all of those things, did you have any concern?
Okay, can we just talk about? Look, I loved Mr. Rogers, and I was terrified of his puppets. Lady Elaine Fairchild is my sleep paralysis demon, if you must know. I loved Mr. Rogers and couldn't figure out why he had decided to team up with God's most demonic puppets. But he did, and I could never understand. I didn't know if he'd lost a bet, if this was the only way he could get on PBS. But honest to God, those were the most like I survived Dark Crystal, I survived Labyrinth, I survived all of the ridiculousness that was our childhood movies, okay? But Lady Elaine Fairchild still haunts my nightmares and my awake mares.
At that point in time, that she couldn't make a decision to have the surgery, or that there was some cause for concern there in her behavior?
I felt she
I
had
can't
the
even stand small bits of her voice today.
When counsel was asking you about psychosis, apparently you've dealt with people, some of your patients, while you're working in the hospital that in fact were florid. They had psychosis and symptoms of psychosis.
Yes.
So you've dealt with people, is it a fair amount of people that would actually hear voices?
Yes, I've seen many patients that are hearing voices.
And were they, to your knowledge, were they involved with command hallucinations, things of that nature?
My patients in the past?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. A fair large amount of people that you've treated over the years that have suffered from command hallucinations, hearing voices, delusions, things of that nature, right?
In my career, yes.
Yeah. And do you know whether or not there had been any indication from Lindsay as to, well, in the hospital, having any delusions or psychosis symptoms of that nature, if you know?
So I saw her, she had only been in the hospital for a day and a half.
Right.
And I hadn't heard about any psychotic delusions
And that's
from anybody.
what you saw, though. I mean, as far as you, like, how often would you see her?
I see. I saw her one time.
Once. Okay. How long did you, how
You saw me once, so you think you can pontificate on my innermost thoughts and feelings, and you're an expert now? Now, again, I do. I never want to disrespect the effort that went into her learning, but there is a gap in education here if you don't realize that in one visit you are not even a newbie in the complex world that is a person's, mental health. But you're sitting here opining that she was totally not psychotic, and you know this because vibes? Because depending on what level I'm masking and how close and comfortable I feel with you, it might it might legitimately not be for years. And I mean years that you might actually know a fraction of what's going on with me. And it's really weird because y'all know more about my inner workings than, people closest to me do, which is paradoxical. When I humorously say that this is my non-licensed personal therapy, it is. This is the place where I am testing out how to be my authentic self. Because at the end of the day, whether people like me online or don't, isn't really of mega importance to me. If I get to hang out with 10 people or, you know, God willing, 15,000 people, every morning, it's still gonna be the same awesome thing that gets me up just hanging out with people in a way I can still do. But it takes a lot, if I don't know you, to drop the mask. And I don't think medical professionals understand how much that they have to work. And I hope medicine changes. Like I said, I don't have all the answers, but I do think ignoring patients in the mental health industrial complex, ignoring their voices, their experiences, beyond the topical, like, give a Daisy Award to your favorite nurse, things like that. Us patients have been left out of even the most basic scaffolding that builds up our medical system. And just because it's always been like this, just because the scaffolding semi works, doesn't mean that we can't keep what works and add new perspectives. And yes, not all of the new ideas are going to work. But if we come up with something more functional than we have now, wouldn't it be worth it?
How long were you evaluating her?
Probably because she was intubated, it was
Just asking how long?
about 20 to 30 minutes.
20 minutes, 30 minutes? And a psychosis, is a psychosis, to your knowledge, something that has to continue, or does it stop?
It absolutely depends on the patient. It depends on their age, how many episodes of psychosis they have had. It depends on the type of psychosis we're seeing. For some people, they can have moments of clarity, absolutely. And for some, it can be more continuous. It really depends on the patient and their illness.
And you were able to, let me see if I've got this correctly, because I just need to make sure I am following this so that my rage at the end of this, my crash out, is justified. But let me make sure first that we're all on the same page. You were able to assess the state of psychosis or non-psychosis within 20 minutes with a patient who was intubated and reduced to probably communicating with a whiteboard while probably on heavy pain and sedative or sedative effect drugs. Is that what you are telling me here? Is this what I am to ascertain from your testimony, that you were able to, because I want to get this clearly before I lose my mother effing mind. You saw her for 20 minutes. after surgeries. So post-surgical, where she's probably on high levels of pain medication while she is also intubated, so semi-sedated to keep from ripping the annoying tube out of her neck. And you were able to guess by scribbles that she was not psychotic. Is this what you're telling me? Commonwealth, this is one of your A experts. I hope she is stocked up on aloe for the ego because she's gonna need it. She's gonna need it at the end of this. I have a feeling that angry Rantimo is gonna come out and she's gonna need a little bit of Solocane for the ego. 'Cause I feel it working up within me.
Okay, so basically you're saying that it would be case specific?
Yes.
All right. And in the 20 minutes or so that you had when you're dealing with Lindsay, were you aware of her prior medical and psychiatric history?
When we get consulted on a case, we...
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you. I'm asking, were you aware of her medical and psychiatric history?
I was aware of the portion that was in the medical record before I saw her.
Okay, so that would deal with as far as postpartum psychosis?
My bad. I could be wrong. I will be very transparent that I shockingly enough, given my coverage of this trial, was legitimately worried because there is nothing in my life that means more to me and has been a greater wish than to be a mom and to see my kids grow up, and the absolute joy and sometimes sorrow that has been the only legacy I will ever care about at the end of the day, is that I raised my kiddos to be good, happy, content people. And I was unsure that I was going to have the ability to have any compassion for Lindsay, not even basically, I was afraid I was going to act like the Commonwealth, that I was going to be vicious and vindictive and malicious, and there's no place for that in this trial. There isn't. And I didn't wanna disrespect the trial and the important stuff, by trying to jump into it when I wasn't sure I was going to be able to, um, properly cover it. But then I started getting into the facts of the case, and I started hoping that we would at least see a thoughtful and respectful trial, with all parties working together to figure out why this happened. And I believe that there is a world and a way that this trial could have been presented where both sides were incredibly passionate about their interpretations of the facts at hand. And it could have been a very interesting commentary on mental health, perceptions of women, expectations of new mothers, and things like that. At least something that would have been painful, but would have, sparked conversations, maybe get us out of our complacency and start demanding or asking for changes in the way medical health is and mental health is treated. And it's just the fact it's the ironic, ridiculous fact that will never make sense to me. At the end of the day, I put more care, more effort, and more stock in the emotional well-being of my chat than the Commonwealth did in the entirety of this trial. And what could have been a trial that would have made sure and worked it and could have, done its damnedest to shine a light on this and hopefully make sure that future Lindsays never have to go to trial. I worry that the presentation of this case will lead more moms who are struggling to not go in for fear that they're going to be over-medicated and something like this could happen, and I am legitimately worried. I legitimately am scared that the moms who are white knuckling this, the moms that are barely holding on, are going to be afraid to reach out for help because these medications are just lobbed out like candy without the slightest verbal, admit, you know, truth that there are some heavy duty side effects, that these are not Tic Tacs, that these are, incredibly powerful chemicals that affect parts of the brain we don't understand. We don't know why some of these medications work the way they do. It's like Einstein trying to explain quantum science and it's, spooky, you know, spooky physics at a distance. Um, we know the anatomy, we don't know the complex internal functionings. We're learning new stuff every day. But medical science's answer has been to lob as many of these crazy chemicals at your brain until you will present as functionally normal, whatever that means.
Could you ask that question
Yeah,
again?
when you looked at the medical record and
Yes.
when you were involved evaluating her on behalf of the hospital, because you weren't a psychiatrist that her mother or father had retained and asked to go see her, right?
Correct.
You were working for the hospital.
I was working for Brigham and Women's Hospital.
And you had spoken to a number of people before you interacted with her for the 20 minutes that you saw her while she was there for a month, right?
No.
Okay. Now, were you aware of her history of documented postpartum depression?
I was aware of mostly the postpartum anxiety that was in the record, yes.
And postpartum anxiety, the symptomology would be insomnia?
Yes,
And
can be.
did she have insomnia prior to seeing you for 20 minutes?
Yes.
And do you
Well, what was the differential diagnostic criteria that you used to rule out, depression and not anxiety being a symptom, but being the actual diagnoses? Again, mental health science. Explain to me how you get to the point where you just say it's anxiety, because anxiety can be both the, source, but it can also be a symptom. So how do you rule it out as symptomology of something greater and not the underlying issue? Or is it just that you say anxiety first and hope that we're gaslit into never coming back and taking the pills that will keep us quiet?
recall the length of time that she would be suffering from insomnia? Was it like a week, a day, a month, or what?
I don't recall the timing exactly.
Do you recall that at one point that she was on medication and actually went for 48 hours without sleep?
I don't recall that exactly from the record, that number.
So again, I'm going to make sure we are on the same page before I blow up. I will give you guys a warning. But let's make sure we have the fact pattern correct here, guys. 20 minutes she saw her. She didn't really look at all the full medical or mental health history. She only knew little tidbits. She did her evaluation that ruled out psychosis while Lindsay was post-surgery and intubated. And you decided based on someone else's diagnosis for which you don't know the differential criteria they use to determine whether anxiety was the underlying illness or a symptom of which it is a symptom of a galaxy of different disorders. So, how is it that one decides whether it's the diagnosis or a symptom?
Number.
Do you recall, in addition to the insomnia, that she was concerned as asking you if, in fact, her brain was broken?
She asked me, is my body broken?
Okay. Did you see in the records that she was concerned about the effect of the drugs and whether or not her brain was broken, quote unquote?
I did not see that language in the records.
How about acting on command hallucinations, conversations or statements to the effect that she was having thoughts of suicidal ideation? You knew that, right?
I did know about the suicidal ideation, yes.
How many times did she express to people that she would tell people that she had been concentrating on committing suicide? If you know.
I don't recall the number of times.
So in any event, you know that she was insomnia. You know that there was a significant period of time that she was suffering from insomnia. You knew that she was expressing suicidal ideation. How about homicidal ideation? Did she express that?
Not from my review of the records.
Okay. Would that be indicative of a person that could be in psychosis expressing concerns about homicidal ideation?
Objection.
No, overall, allow it.
Sorry, I don't know that question. Could you repeat that question?
Sure. Is that one of the factors that one would be concerned about as a psychiatrist if a person was expressing homicidal ideation?
I would be concerned about that as a psychiatrist.
And in fact,
But if it wasn't written in the chart and, the patient didn't happen to say it in the 20 minutes they were intubated and communicating with a whiteboard, would you have known about it? Would you have been able to factor it into your diagnosis of non-psychosis? Which I might say is rather ballsy of you, given that you don't know this patient's baseline. You think there would be some sort of ethical boundary that would require you as a medical or a mental health physician that is going to be called in, or just even in the health arena, called in. You would at least attempt to get a baseline understanding of what this person is when they're presenting as normal or masking as normal. Did you even do that cursory bit? I understand that you're here to cover the hospital's ass, but you're doing a piss poor job of representing your profession, to the limited point that I respected at the beginning of this trial.
in this case, you knew at least about the suicidal ideation that she had been expressing, right?
Yes.
But you didn't know about any homicidal ideation she was expressing, right?
From the records or
Prior
from...
to coming to see you for 20 minutes.
I
had a dream. It wasn't for me. It was for Merrick and Lily and all of those places that send out their pharmaceutical reps to me. I just wanted free lunch. I wasn't thinking about my patients. Screwed the medical musical, from a patient's point of view, will be coming to Broadway, as soon as I get Andrew Lloyd Webber on board, and Elton John.
I knew that there was an event that had occurred and that...
3 children died. That's the event you're referring to, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Reddington. Thank you. God, what is up with this? I have a peppy voice. I love my peppy voice. You understand that you're talking about fucking terrible human tragedy, and you're like, and your voice sounds like you're going to a Disney movie. Do you understand how inherently disrespectful that is? The fact that you couldn't even look at her chart. 3 kids are dead. But you made sure that your hair looked good. You didn't work on your eyebrows. We'll have a talk about that later when I go full nuclear. You made sure you looked good here, but boy, didn't you didn't make sure you did your job, did you? And yeah, I am scornful because this woman is representing a position and a profession that could help so many people if they pulled their heads out of their asses and gave a damn. And if the medical system was, rebuilt in a way that they had time to do that. But, here's from the neurospicy among us. You wanna know why we don't seek help? You wanna know why we will just white knuckle through life alone? Because we go in asking for help and we get unsympathetic, you know, empatheticless voids of human condescension thrown in our face and telling us it's all in our head, when that is the exact point that is the most profound thing that anyone can ever say, because yes, everything is all in our head, from, you know, the way we perceive the world to the way we interact with it. Never has a statement been more profound and more thrown away than it is all in your head. But everything is. And your profession is how we understand how that works on a medical level. And you gave 0 fucks. I hope you are ashamed. You did a great disservice to your profession. And the good thing is that you're young. And you can use this as a learning experience and really listen to your patients. And really become a source of healing and care in the truest sense of what a doctor was supposed to be. Not above us, not holy, not on an ivory tower, but someone who spent more years learning about how our body worked, to be a kind friend with wisdom, to give us advice and counsel us. Not to get off on a God complex, by, feeling that you have everything figured out because you were able to, eidetically memorize Latin and anatomy.
All right, next question.
Now, as far as the period of time that she was involved with, by the way, what's hypomania?
Hypomania is sort of the gradual increase towards mania, the symptoms that we see in somebody who might have bipolar disorder. And with bipolar disorder, we see mixed depression and we see mania, and we see symptoms that kind of gradually increase to mania. And we call that period hypomania.
Did she exhibit, to your knowledge from the medical records, any periods of hypomania? Excessive cleaning, exercise, or activities, being awake at night, things of that nature?
At that moment, on January 26th, I don't remember reading about that.
Okay. Do you have any memory of reading about it at all, other than that moment? As a treating physician, a doctor, psychiatrist?
I don't remember.
So what is your purpose at the hospital? I mean, you're not treating the...
Finally, Attorney Reddington has gone full Mo. Now, it is not socially acceptable generally to go full Mo, but to ask the most autistic, blunt, and, well, downright obvious question. Ma'am, I'm asking the same question, and I'm not the attorney. Hell, everyone in the facility and in the congregation of the Church of Mo is asking the same damn question. We are all now the Bobs in office space. So what do you say you do here? Oh, she is mad. She is going to go home and tell her cats about this. If only her cats didn't hate her. Like all cats, they love us when they love us, and they hate us the rest of the time.
Person for any illness that they have is far.
No, I need to go back and see this. We might just be stuck here for the rest of the day playing this on a loop.
At the hospital. other than that moment
Build up, build up.
as a treating?
I want you guys to appreciate the slow build up to this. It's comic gold. Attorney Reddington, if you'd ever like to talk about humor and subtle subversive ways to use it in the court, obviously when you're not on a trial, um, I am your Padawan. Teach me, Obi-Wan. I want to learn the ways of the Force.
Physician, a doctor, psychiatrist.
I don't remember.
So what is your purpose at the hospital? I mean, you're not treating.
Would you say that you're sort of the appendix of the hospital, that no one notices you until you become inflamed and bitchy? I Are you vestigial like some people that are born with tails? Um, these are the kind of questions that I would ask, and I would totally get found in contempt of court, which is why I am a YouTube commentator and not a lawyerologist. And I'm here for it. Oh, she's big mad. And if she had eyebrows, you could know it. Um, Available soon in the merch store, I will be trying to figure out with hot glue gun and felt how to make my own line of Mo patented mood eyebrows. Do you want to show an expression on your face, but you're kind of exhausted and, maintaining balance, being a kind human, and maintaining hydration? It's all too much for you. With Mo brows, you can show Mo animation on your face without actually giving Fs or going on a search to find Fs to give. Give that subtle warning that you are just not in the mood today. Mo brows. Say it on your face, so people don't tempt you to say it with your words. In the merch store soon.
The person for any illness that they have as far as their mental condition, right? You're not treating them.
We are.
Oh, you are?
Yes.
So you're concerned about, obviously, their symptomology, if any, that they present at the time that you're looking at them and talking to them, or in this case, she couldn't talk, but
She couldn't talk and she was going into surgery, and we had recommended suicidal precautions. We had recommended trauma-informed care so that she was getting
Trauma-informed care? Dear God. Okay, so the fact pattern is lining up thusly. Without really reading any of her history or charts and kind of having only a vague fucking clue as to why she was even in the hospital, you decided to roll up into Lindsay's room post-surgery while she was still intubated and decided based on the voices in your head and scribblings on a whiteboard that she was not psychotic. Then you decided that her care should be trauma-informed care. Now, excuse me for being a rude asshole, but what the fuck is trauma-informed care? Like, do you go confront your trauma? Does someone dress up as your trauma and then you get to beat them up? Do I get to inform you what I would like to do in order to, feel less angry and then you facilitate that? Like getting to break a fax machine in full office space like mode. Does it mean that I don't have to talk to you because I find you annoying and I am I am making fun of you at all times while we are in therapy, um, questioning not only your intelligence, the intelligence of your entire profession and the absolute hubris of it, and how if anyone were to be in charge of my mental health, the last person it would be you. Um, so is that how the equation is lining up thusly? I Oh, my rant is going to be epic. I feel it growing within me.
the care that she needed. She was going to go into surgery. And then after that, we were going to continue to follow her and assess her and make sure that we were evaluating her appropriately and making recommendations to the surgical team for the care that she needed.
You all set?
Objection.
Next. So,
Oh, Attorney Reddington, if I were of similar age to you and not married, um, and I didn't think that we would honestly annoy the hell out of each other in real life, in a relationship kind of way, you have just become my crush. Um, that was the closest that we are ever going to get in real life to everything that guy just said is bullshit, Your Honor. We're going back. You're going back. Oh my God, the rage burning within this woman.
And talking to them, or in this case, she couldn't talk, but
She couldn't talk and she was going into surgery, and we had recommended suicidal precautions. We had recommended trauma-informed care so that she was getting the care that she needed. She was going to go into surgery. And then after that, we were going to continue to follow her and assess her and make sure that we were evaluating her appropriately and making recommendations to the surgical team for the care that she needed.
You all set?
Objection.
Next. So when you're dealing
I just live here now. Like, the time continuum can continue on without me. I'm just going to live in this Schadenfreude for the rest of my life, and I'm okay with it. Okay, we have to watch that again. I just need it one more time. This might be the best thing that has ever happened in this timeline right now.
in this case, she couldn't talk, but
She couldn't talk and she was going into surgery, and we had recommended suicidal precautions. We had recommended trauma-informed care so that she was getting the care that she needed. She was going to go into surgery. And then after that, we were going to continue to follow her and assess her and make sure that we were evaluating her appropriately and making recommendations to the surgical team for the care that she needed.
You all set?
Objection.
Attorney Reddington, thank you. Thank you for being the human avatar of disgust and just done with babble fuckery.
Next. So when you're dealing with this person that's going into surgery, did you know what type of surgery she was going in for?
At the time, we knew that she was going into surgery for her spine.
Did you know what happened with her spine?
I knew that she had injuries to her spine.
Did you know that there was a transection injury, that her spine was basically exploded in T5, T6, other thoracic vertebrae fractured, including the cervical vertebrae up by her throat? You knew all that?
We were reading about it. It was all actively happening at that time.
Was she in pain?
Yes, I'm sure she was.
Was she?
Did you ask her if she was in pain? Did you do an assessment without first assessing the pain score of the patient who was pre-surgical, intubated, and on pain medication? You spent 20 minutes with a woman who was barely functional and decided based on scribblings on a whiteboard that she was not psychotic. And you are trying to justify that absolute bullshit with word salad and whatever the hell trauma-informed care is, which for me would be the ability to wear my brows without anyone giving me any shit about it. That would be just leave me alone and let me be weird. And you didn't even assess whether pain could be clouding any of her mental acuity and faculties and emotion and demeanor. And then you wonder why this particular defense attorney is so utterly dismissive of you. You have the audacity to sit there indignant that he is dismissing you, but you dismissed his client. And how many patients have you dismissed in when you are supposed to be caring for them? I think you're being treated exactly how you treat your patients, and it's probably not comfortable, but maybe that'll be a lesson to you and a way for you to grow.
On medication.
Yeah, she was on a few medications related to pain and blood pressure.
So she's brought into the hospital. You knew from reviewing her records as a psychiatrist that in fact she coded the day before, right?
I don't recall her coding the day before I saw her. I do recall from the records that she had a coding event after, I think on the 27th or 28th.
And as a psychiatrist, you know that in one of the testing materials, one of the tools you have in your toolbox, the near-death experience can be one of the highest scoring life events that can happen to a person. So you not only did not take into account that she had just had 2 near-death experiences in under 48 hours, and the loss of her children, again, whether intentional or not is still up for debate, but you realize that she had these incredibly explosive events happen one, the other, and the other, and you didn't think that that would in any way potentially, cause a a misread between what she's presenting and what she actually has? How many years did you say you went to school to be an expert on this? And I'm not trying to be an asshole legitimately now. How can you spend a greater part of your adult life studying this and be so wrong about it? And so dismissive of everything that is tangentially involved with your job.
Okay, so you were not involved with her when she coded. Did you know that she had any events of that nature right after she was brought from the South Shore Hospital?
I don't know what you're referring to.
You know what a code is, right?
Yes.
Did she almost die before you saw her?
I think it was after.
Okay. How about perfusion, blood in the body and tubes being inserted into her chest? Did you know that from looking at the records?
I think that happened after, but I don't recall because I don't have the records on me.
Okay. So did you know that she had massive transfusions?
Not at the...
On this jury that it was after she saw you that she coded, had transfusions, had double tubes put into her both sides of her lungs. It's your testimony that it was after she saw you? You don't know, do you?
My understanding is the surgery happened after I saw her.
Oh, the surgery did. I'm asking you about the massive transfusions. I'm asking you about the tubes being inserted so that the 300 milligrams or whatever it is of blood can be perfused or taken out of her chest cavity. I'm asking about whether or not you knew that she had coded. I'm not asking about the surgery. Obviously, that took place after you saw her, right?
Objection asked and answered.
No, overruled.
Because that's why you were talking to her, right? To see if she could make an informed consent to a surgery, I guess.
No, I was called for the suicidal ideation.
Okay, I'm sorry. I thought you said that you wanted to talk to her about the surgery as well.
No.
The suicidal ideation continues to this day, does it not?
Objection.
Symbiose, it seems from gathering context clues as she's speaking that she was part of the care team, the psychiatric team, that was involved in the continuing care of Lindsay while she was at Brigham and Women's Hospital. However, whether she was the lead or it does seem that she was more a PRN staff or someone that they brought in in more complex cases, she doesn't seem to have kind of the whole grasp of this case. That I would assume that a team lead, if you are the lead of sort of the, mental health team, you would have more of this background information. She seems like she was solely brought in to address the very kind of acknowledgement that Lindsay was there after an attempt at deletion, and to see if she was. I don't know why they're doing they did the assessment when they did, but it seems like she was basically solely brought in there to do kind of perfunctory or procedural things that required, Lindsay signing documentation. So I think she was there to maybe get, you know, approval to do something or a release. And in doing, and getting that release, she had to do a cursory neuropsych evaluation to see if her signature would be valid, is kind of what I'm picking up was the actuality of the situation, however they're wanting to present it.
Sustained.
Did the suicidal ideation that you were concerned about continue the time that she was in Brigham and Women's Hospital for a month?
I saw her one time.
Right, I know that, 20 minutes, right?
Yes.
So you know nothing about suicidal ideation after you saw her intubated and then laying in the bed, and then you talked to her as you've discussed with the jury, right?
That's correct.
That's it.
That's correct.
How about the cops? How many cops were there?
I don't recall.
There were some, right? There were armed men in that room, were there not?
I don't recall. I think they were outside the room, if I remember correctly, from 3 years ago.
Okay, I know it's been a while. Do you recall armed police officers being outside the room?
I think I don't recall.
Do you have any memory of any police officers being outside the room where she was laying in that bed?
I knew she was in custody, and generally in custody.
No, not generally. Let's talk about Lindsay Clancy.
I can't recall.
Okay. Did you know that she couldn't even have visitors, in the sense that the police would not even let her mother or father visit with her?
I can't recall.
Did you know that when you were dealing with her, was she handcuffed to the side of the gurney or the stretcher?
She had a soft restraint, according to my documentation.
Soft restraints, okay.
Yes.
Did you have any conversation with the police at all?
No.
And after you spoke to her for 20 minutes, that really ended your involvement with Lindsay Clancy until today, right?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I cannot, the dual combination of this woman and the smug Commonwealth are going to set me off. And here's the thing. I hope that she takes all of this and becomes a better doctor and a better person for it. Because we're relying on you. You went to school. We do come to you for answers, but we also come to you for compassion as well, and to be listened to. As important as the, medical side of it, the human side of it is just as important. And sometimes I think doctors can lose sight of that. So I hope that she goes on to do better. As much as I'd love to have a ramp-filled, 10-minute screed, at the bottom of it, us patients are counting on you to do better. So please do better.
Thank you. May I have a seat?
Okay, watch your step, please.
All right, good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon, Your Honor.
Yeah, Attorney Buckingham, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Could you please tell the jurors your first and last name
Robert Flynn, Flynn,
and how are you employed, sir?
from the Duxbury Police Department.
What is your current rank or assignment there?
And currently I am a patrol sergeant,
How long have you been with the Duxbury Police?
about 7.5 years.
Going back to January of 2023, what was your assignment then?
On a random ADHD note, I was unaware that they made Little House on the Prairie Nellie Olson funeral bows. You know, I never thought I would see evil heifer from Little House on the Prairie blow in black in a courtroom in 2026.
I was assigned to the Detective Bureau.
So if I draw your attention to January 24th of 2023,
The realist in me knows that, but the Ted Lasso, Mr. Rogers in me hopes, even if it's the tiniest possibility, even if it's a little spark that has to, simmer and simmer, that one day it'll spark. And yeah, that hope might leave us depressed and disappointed a lot. But I'd rather live in a world where I can still give people that hope than be black-pilled. So it's a long shot. It's probably not going to happen, but there's a possibility and the hope that it might at the end of the day.
were you working that day or were you called in?
Both. I worked the 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. shift, and I was called in later after my shift.
Okay, so you became aware of an incident that occurred in the town of Duxbury approximately 6 p.m. that evening?
Yes, ma'am.
And so when you come back in after working that day shift, where do you go or where are you directed to go?
I was contacted by Sergeant Detective Jamali, who informed me to respond to 47 Summer Street.
And so while you're en route to that location, are you monitoring the radio?
Yes, ma'am.
And are you monitoring communications with other Duxbury officers?
Yes, ma'am. I had a department-issued vehicle that I took home, and I responded to it in that vehicle. And I had scan on, which is getting all surrounding agencies, including fire.
Okay. If we are just going to rehash the going onto the scene, now I have switched over to Court TV because they are easier for me to kind of skim through the testimony that we are skipping through and kind of seeing if there's anything actually worth stopping and looking at, just delving into. Oh, good Lord. Another police department where
that kind of went in.
All right, good afternoon, sir.
Afternoon, Your Honor.
Honey?
Yes,
Thank you.
please.
Good afternoon. Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
I'm Detective Mark Farioli, Farioli.
Where do you work?
Stop lying. You were in Super Trooper, sir. How dare you lie to us? Also, look, I know it is my weird thing. I know it is my thing, but where did your eyebrows go? Look, sir, I am doing this for your own good. I am doing this so that I can pay attention. Okay, honestly, I will be able to better function now. And I know that sounds incredibly insane, but yes, I do need this to function. No, come back, eyebrows. I need them to function, but I need you to get off my screen. All right, much better. Now, how do I get this off the screen? No, now I want you to continue. Okay, I can't work this like Megan. I need to have a tutorial.
The
but
Massachusetts
one
State
day.
Police.
How long have you been a state trooper?
Since 2005.
And back in January of 2023, where were you assigned within the state police?
I was assigned to the Plymouth County State Police Detective Unit.
And were you involved in a limited way in the investigation regarding Lindsay Clancy?
Yes, I was.
And specifically directing your attention to January 27th, 2023, were you aware that a search warrant was obtained on that date to collect the blood in urine?
Oh.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Hi. Counsel?
Thank you. Good afternoon. Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
My name is Leah O'Connell, Leahoconnell.
Where do you work?
Currently, I'm employed with the Massachusetts State Police as a trooper.
Back in January of 2023, were you also employed with the state police?
I was at the crime lab.
Crime lab. Okay, that was fun. Are we finally getting to the point where we might stipulate? I'm going straight to purgatory. It's another wee fella. He's a wee one. He's just a tiny guy. He's fun-sized, really. Okay, I'm done. I'm done. Shizzy, you could have told us you were involved in the trial. You didn't have to lie and say you were on vacation.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony in the evidence you shall give to the court and the jury in the matter not having between the Commonwealth and the defendant class shall be the truth and whole truth?
I do.
Thank you, sir. You may have a seat.
You want to start, please? Start.
Hi, good
you
afternoon,
can put it in
sir.
your
Good
pocket.
afternoon, Your Honor. Patrice Sprague, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Can you please state and spell your name for the record?
Good afternoon. My name is John Santos, JOHNSANTOS.
Where do you work?
The Massachusetts State Police.
And where do you currently, what department?
Okay, this is one we can't skip through because we are going to get into documentation and diary entries. So we will go back.
Detective Unit in Plymouth County.
And were you, specifically on January 24th, 2023, were you part of a search warrant team at 47 Summer Street in Duxbury?
Yes, I was.
And what was your role in terms of where you were assigned to search within the home?
I searched multiple locations.
New England. Is it a New England thing or is it a Boston thing? Because I genuinely need to know when I take over rulership of the earth, where I need to send people back to elocution school to stop the epidemic of lip smacking. So do I need to focus in Massachusetts only, or is it an entire New England phenomenon? I say this because I legitimately cannot focus when someone lip smacks. And it throws me off. I cannot focus. And I need to correct this problem. It's easy. We can do it. And we're going to call them fun learning to speak so it doesn't annoy Mo day camps.
To include the basement, the kitchen area, and then the master bedroom on the second floor.
Okay. And specifically directing your attention to the kitchen area, did you search a cabinet in the kitchen above and to the right of the stove?
Yes, I did.
Showing you a photograph. Is this a clear and accurate depiction of the items you found in that cabinet on January 24th, 2023?
Yes, it is.
You could have this photo marked as an exhibit.
That may be admitted. Maybe admitted.
145. Thank you. Showing you Exhibit 145 on the screen here. Focusing your attention on the top shelf, there were several notebooks and books that were seized. Is that correct?
Yes.
Were those taken out of the cabinet and cataloged by the state police?
Yes, they were.
Show you 5 items. If you could just look through these and let me know if these were the items that were taken.
We'll stipulate that those are the items that were in her kitchen.
Okay.
If I could have these marked as the next 5 exhibits, please.
Do you want the 5 separate, 5A, 3?
5 separate,
Okay.
please. Exhibits 146 through 150.
All right, thank you.
Okay, ma'am, I say this as a friend and a woman who will not let hair atrocities happen on my watch. I know good and damn well you spend probably damn near $300 on that keratin treatment blowout. And because you are refusing to put the right products in your hair and take time when you blow it out, and using products that are for locking in moisture and eliminating frizz, it looks like you did it at home. So go talk to a stylist friend. Go get the right product for your hair and the right styling tools. And then practice and come back to court with not that.
And sir, showing you what's been marked 146. So those appear to be discharge paperwork from McLean Hospital for Lindsay Clancy.
Yes.
And this discharge paperwork on the 3rd page included a list of medications. Is that correct?
Yes.
So we have Razapam 1 milligram, melatonin 5 milligrams, and trazodone 50 milligrams.
And the state is aware that that is simply the medications that were given stat, or, that the hospital felt she needed to continue to function. Now, the primary care physician is going to look at that and then adjust medications. These are not the only medications she was taking. And the fact that the state is trying to present it as though Lindsay were only on these 3, things, when her toxicology report is going to prove that, categorically wrong and false. If I'm the jury, I'm feeling lied to. Every time the state asserts something that is damning, the defense comes right back and says, well, actually, she was, on this, and this, and this. No, Jen, here's the thing. Most of the time, look, you are talking to a person who spent like 20 minutes doing makeup and then affixed weird eyebrows to my face. I notice these things all the time, and normally I just gently give out the information like, "Hey, as a person who has ruined the hell out of their hair multiple times and had to regrow it, you might be using the wrong product." Normally, I'm not bitchy. Normally, I've learned that is not the nice way or the appropriate way to convey information in a way that people will receive it. So I don't judge, everywhere. And I usually don't open up my mouth unless someone says, "Hey, I've been struggling with my hair," because I know it can be perceived as being incredibly hurtful and things like that. So I normally don't say that. But if you are going to be on TV and you're going to spend $300 on the keratin, freaking Brazilian blowout, then spend the freaking money on the, good hair straightener for your kind of hair because as silly as it sounds, there's a lot more to hair, especially if you have textured or curly hair than you would imagine. There's porosity and moisture retention and everything. So I say this as someone who struggled my entire life with my half curly, half straight hair, that if you just take the time to learn a little bit about kind of what works for your hair, it looks better. And it's an easy fix. I am getting some of that on my next Amazon order because and here's the other thing. Look, yes, you are Stinger Bell. You are on Megan's channel. I know. I thought I was going to have all this expendable money. I was going to get my wet set every week. I was going to look fabulous. I was going to talk to Gladys down the street. Where is my Truvy salon? I was promised when I reached a certain age by steel magnolias and fried green tomatoes that I was going to find my ride or die tribe and we were going to tear some shit up and also get, made pretty at Truvy's. I was going to, step into my role as the lovable cantankerous Weeza and live the rest of my life with my mangy dog and hiding my soft heart under, surliness. I had things planned out, damn it. Where's my Truvy?
Correct?
Correct.
Along with description of when she needs to take those medications, correct?
Correct.
There's also instructions on the 6th page in about resources for therapy and community services, correct?
Correct.
And then exhibit 1.
Symbio says, mansplaination of current rant. If you're going to get the Hemi, use good oil in it. Spontaneous mofession that will bother the soul of Symbios and Shizzy. He already knows this deep, dark secret, but I made the mistake of listening to the sweet, but obviously car stupid sales girl that sold us our Ford Transit van. Now, she had she had reliably informed us that it would take flex fuel, like that corn stuff that was big because we got it in 2016. So when ethanol was becoming the big thing and flex fuel was like a thing. Now because I asked her point blank, I was like, we are getting the engine that takes the weird fuel. And she was like, yes, it is. It is. Come to find out that EcoFlex engine does not mean flex fuel appropriate. Now, we were able to get our entire engine replaced at no cost to us. But my point still stands. Maybe have someone in the medical profession and the auto profession that know what they're talking about when, important stuff is involved.
47 is a notebook.
What in the Machado wallpaper?
And then exhibit 147 is a notebook. Inside it had postpartum depression and anxiety patient information sheet, correct?
Correct.
And then a detailing of different medications and the amounts taken and the dates they were taken, correct?
Yes, correct.
Then there was the book, Good Moms Have Scary Thoughts, item 148, correct?
Correct.
And then 149, a postpartum, pregnancy and postpartum anxiety workbook, correct?
Correct.
And
I did consider pausing on the pages that listed medication, but I think they're gonna go over it more in cross, and, I do want to make sure that, we get to a bit of the civil lawsuit because I think that they lay out kind of what she was prescribed and the timeline, pretty well, and again, I understand I don't actually, I don't understand how the Commonwealth is seeing all this put together and then comes to the conclusion that she was gathering research to be able to fake her worsening symptoms better. I what what part of manipulation, and I do mean this quite literally, is getting a book and writing all these notes? I mean, it would seem objectively that she's trying to work on her issues, and she's dedicated to trying to become a better mom, not get rid of her children because she's tired of having them. I think this is where that is probably the dumbest argument I've ever heard. So I am struggling to even give the barest respect to the Commonwealth at this point. That's where I am right now with the way they're presenting this.
Nothing is filled out in this workbook, correct?
Correct.
And then finally, Exhibit 150, a notebook labeled Callan Patrick Clancy, correct?
Correct.
And inside this were messages back and forth between Lindsay Clancy and the nanny, correct?
Correct.
But I will say, and I think that this kind of touches a note with me because I have reverted to, with my limited history in assistive physical therapy assistant. When I was struggling with doctors not understanding me, I would bring in my own patient notes to document how my medications affected me and everything else. And I I'm kind of cringing looking back at that behavior, wondering if I was, marked as a mental health flag or a potential malingerer because I was struggling to try to be heard. And that's so incredibly disappointing that I was actively trying. I actively understand the medical system we operate now in, where doctors have, 10 minutes to try to process everything about a patient. So I tried to write it in their own language. I tried to use, terminology. I tried to take the emotional, kind of component out of it and just put it to be objective, things that I noticed so that I wouldn't be accused of being emotional or, you know, I couldn't see the forest because of the trees. So I'll say again, if this is the wrong way to do this, if we are not going to get help and it is going to be perceived as manipulation, then please, dear God, just tell us what we need to do to get listened to because we're exhausted.
Now, you mentioned that you searched several rooms in the home, correct?
Yes, correct.
How do you divide that up? How is it decided who's going to search where when you're doing a search like this in a home?
It's somewhat fluid. We try not to send too many people in one room at a time because we end up tripping over each other to a certain extent. So usually it's kind of as we go along because we don't have an idea of what the layout of the house is before we get there. So it's difficult to plan that. So the supervisors who are overseeing the search will direct different troopers or investigators to search different rooms.
And so you said you searched the kitchen area, correct?
Yes.
Were you present when prescription medication was found in the kitchen, or had you already moved on?
I don't recall the medication being found while I was there.
And when you search a room, are you the only one searching, or are there other team members searching different parts of the room, kind of a divide and conquer?
Exactly. That's how it is. We divide and search different sections of the room.
Okay. And you said you went to the basement area. Do you remember what side of the basement you searched?
I was in the office portion of the basement.
And had anyone already been in that room, or were you the first to go in, or did you know?
I believe somebody had already been in that room when I made my way down there. I don't recall who was in there, but I don't think I was the first person to make my way in that room.
And you didn't collect anything in that room, correct?
I did collect some items
okay.
in the office, yes.
What items did you collect in the office?
There was, I believe, 2 laptop computers and a external hard drive.
And so you collected those items from the office. And when you do a search warrant, is there one trooper assigned to keep track of everything that's found, where it's found, who found it?
Yes, there is.
Okay. And so when, do you recall who that person was in this case?
I don't recall, no.
But when you do find something, is it you bring it to that person and they kind of log it and then you move on and keep looking for other things?
Normally, the evidence officer would come down. We assign them and label them the evidence officer for each search warrant. They would come down to the area where the item was being recovered from, and we'd also have crime scene services photo the item in place as well before it was collected. So the evidence officer would come to us.
Okay, so for example, with the laptops, photos would be taken of them in the office, and then they would be logged, and then they'd be taken out of the office.
Exactly.
And is that what happened with the books and the notebooks that we discussed earlier?
Yes.
And you said you then went up at some point to the main bedroom, the master bedroom?
Yes.
And what did you do inside the master bedroom?
I assisted with searching the master bedroom. I don't believe I recovered anything within there.
Do you recall ever looking in the nightstand drawer or anywhere near the nightstand by the open window?
I don't believe I did, no.
Okay. And is there any reason why you wouldn't have gone into that drawer or looked in that drawer?
Somebody else was probably already searching that area, would be my guess.
What area did you search in the bedroom?
Yes, but if it took an entire team of officers and you still didn't, produce a competent search, I think I'm confused. You like this is the biggest invitation to be nosy and obnoxious and ignore boundaries. I am searching through all of your stuff. I am being the nosiest nosy person ever. Like I'm looking under your mattress. I mean, there's a reason I'm probably a better off as a content creator than a cop because I would still be searching places. So you just figured like YOLO, someone else would do it? Interesting. Very interesting. I'm sure that the defense isn't gonna tear you a new one. I'm sure this isn't going to require just bucket loads of aloe. I have a feeling we're gonna need this, so I am preemptively pulling it out. But I feel the need, sir, to ask you, well, brother, what do you think's going to happen when the defense cross-examines you? Can you handle this flame? I have a feeling, God bless this man, he's not ready for cross.
I believe there was a closet. When you walk into the bedroom, I believe there was like a closet area to the left. I was in that area. And then I made my way at some point, to the left side of the bed as well.
And did you find anything in the bedroom of note?
No.
Now, when you're doing a search warrant,
did you look for anything of note in the bedroom? Probably a better question to ask this particular officer. Yes, I believe so. But then he decided, why do a competent search? We have our suspect.
right when an investigation happens, how do you know what to look for?
Well, it depends on what you're investigating. This case specifically, we knew the facts what we knew at that time. So, I mean, when I noticed those notebooks in the cabinet, certainly I thought that information was pertinent to this investigation based on what we knew. But every investigation is a little bit different. The facts are different. So,
Yeah.
I mean, clearly you want to look for items that relate to the suspect, victims, or any associates of them, and it might relate to the incident that's being investigated.
When the search was being done in the home at 47 Summer Street that night, did officers already know that Miss Clancy had crushed up pills and taken them with lemonade?
No.
Okay. Had you learned from Patrick Clancy, the husband, that Miss Clancy had been prescribed some medication?
I did, yes.
Okay. And were you aware at some point that medication was found in the kitchen?
Yes.
Okay. I have nothing further. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Reddington? Who found the medication in the kitchen?
I don't recall, sir.
It certainly wasn't somebody randomly off the street. It was a cop, right?
Yeah, a police officer and
State
investigator,
police.
sir. Yes.
And-
Well, we had some local officers there with us as well.
Yeah. So it was law enforcement that found the pill bottles in the kitchen, right?
I believe so.
And seized them. Is that correct?
Correct.
And documented that they had seized them in the kitchen, feeling someone, whoever it was, that it was relevant material to this investigation, right?
Correct.
And the books that we've just gone through, someone felt that a notebook captioned Callan Patrick Clancy would be relevant material to this investigation, right?
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Along with the pregnancy and postpartum anxiety workbook, right?
Correct.
Along with the good moms have scary thoughts, right?
Yes.
Along with the documents pertinent to the McLean Hospital where she had been discharged from, right?
Yes.
Along with another notebook that had postpartum depression and anxiety, correct?
Yes.
There were also other documents that were items, I should say, that were seized in the house that have already been introduced to the record. Exhibit 81, and looks like a diary. Exhibit 83, slept well last night, things of that nature. That was seized as well, right?
I believe so, yes.
You know why all these were seized?
Why the books that I seized were seized?
No. Your investigation. Are you a lieutenant, a sergeant?
I'm a captain, sir. Yes, sir.
And back then, what was you a captain?
I was a lieutenant at that time.
You were the ranking officer in the search?
No, there was also a detective lieutenant assigned unit commander at that time.
So, but you're up there enough and you knew from the investigation what was relevant and material in the investigation, right?
Yes.
And obviously you or somebody else working with you determined that all of these items, the pills that were seized, the books that were seized from the kitchen, et cetera, were relevant and material, correct?
Yes.
Do you know who searched the bedroom? I know you said you were in there. Did you search the bedroom?
I was part of the team that searched the bedroom. There were a number of other officers that searched the bedroom as well. I believe in the report, it documents who seized what from the bedroom.
Okay.
So I don't know off the top of my head who that was, sir, but I know it's clearly labeled in the report.
Okay. Do you have the report?
I do not, no.
Do you recall how many law officers were actually involved in that little bedroom searching?
I would have to guess approximately 5.
5? And as counsel asked, when somebody...
It's just much softer for me. I find that it's not as harsh. So I'm with you, Crystal. But I do like it's kind of reminiscent of the half script, half print that I use, so it's easier for my brain to translate. But I also think that for harder trials, I know legitimately this sounds silly, but when I knew I was going to cover some harder trials, I wanted to find, things that would make everything softer. Doing my best to do, what I can to make this a comfy, irreverent, dark humor, weird, neurodivergent place where we can honor trials, but make it comfy just feeling wise.
He discovered something that appeared to be relevant to material, they would log it in. Somebody that would kind of be the record keeper would log it in, correct?
Yes.
Is there any, one of the things that you would also, you yourself, I believe, seize would be the laptop computers that were downstairs in the office, right?
Yes.
And you seized also, collectively you, I mean, you or the other 5 people, seized the cell phone that was on the bed.
Yes, I believe there was a cell phone seized from the bedroom.
So it made sense as an investigator that electronic media and things of that nature would be important, correct?
Yes.
Was there an Apple Watch involved in this investigation, if you know?
I believe there was an Apple Watch recovered after the fact. We didn't recover at the search warrant, if I recall correctly.
Do you know when it was recovered?
I don't know exactly off the top of my head, no,
The
sir.
Apple Watch that I recovered with Pat Clancy?
I believe.
Oh, brother, Hulkamania's gone wild on you. Defensive mania. Oh, this detective did not say his prayers and take his vitamins. Massachusetts, can I kindly ask if you're gonna, put on a trial, you actually put on an investigation first? Just asking for those of us who watch trials and are a bit confused. Crystal, I don't know. There is an intermittent court pterodactyl is what I've called it. That will like screech on and it's a very high frequency and then it'll screech right off. I don't know, but this court is haunted by the spirit of a vengeful pterodactyl.
So, sir, yeah, I believe there was a watch that was turned into us after the fact. It wasn't recovered during the search warrant.
So looking at this drawer, do you recall that next to the bed or in the bedroom, there was a nightstand and there was a drawer? And inside the drawer were a bunch of pill bottles, an Apple Watch, sleeping aids, things of that nature?
I didn't search that drawer, sir.
Okay. I don't
What would you say you do here? The nightstand drawer is the first place I'm going because I am a nosy heifer, but also that's where everyone puts their stuff there too. Well, they're embarrassed about, but they're too lazy to hide, in a less convenient place.
mean to embarrass you, I'm just asking.
Yeah.
You know why nobody bothered to search that drawer?
I don't know that it wasn't searched. I just know that I didn't search it, sir. So.
Officer, let me help you. As your third party intervener to prevent you from looking like a total screw up, it's better if you didn't search for it. It looks infinitely worse if you admit that someone saw this mega bottle or this bag of pills and said, meh. So, as your intervener to prevent stupid while on stand, don't say that. Don't I don't know how you became a captain without maybe learning this oh so subtle art of covering your ass and not looking like a moron on stand. But yeah, um, just a little bit of a tip there.
So it may have been searched, and maybe whoever searched it didn't feel that information was pertinent to seize. I can't speak for them.
Okay, we need to go back because the look the defense attorney is giving the police officer is the look that Mr. Moe and I sometimes have for youngest most feral, where we just struggle. Like, you're so smart, you test off the chart. And we know you have it in you to not cause chaos. And yet we caught you playing with a lighter and a spray can. That's what I'm getting from the defense attorney's look right here. This is You're not admitting to this level of stupidity and incompetence on the stand. That I am not in a timeline where I'm listening to a cop tell me in a case that hinges on medical experts and diagnoses and the interaction or the actuality of polypharmacy at the base of it, that you would see a bag of pills and just say, meh.
I don't know that it wasn't searched. I just know that I didn't search it, sir. So it may have been searched, and maybe whoever searched it didn't feel that.
I don't believe we've gotten to Megan Collins. We are still catching up from yesterday afternoon. We are going to be going at our own pace. I do hope to catch up to at least mid morning of current day by the end of our day, but we're still on the last witness from yesterday.
That information was pertinent to seize. I can't speak for them, but I can tell you that I didn't search that drawer.
Okay. Go ahead, Judge.
Redirect.
No, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Your Honor.
The Commonwealth would call Corey Mello as its next witness.
Oh, the trauma nurse. I think that there were several trauma nurses that I didn't have a problem with. I guess my whole only issue about the trauma nurses were that they even had to be there. Again, all of this could have been stipulated. I didn't think that I thought that they came off as caring and competent. Was she the blonde with rather a severe look? Or, oh, with a back to front top on. Okay, yeah. I thought she came off as very competent, and I do think that there is a tendency to misread more stoic, competent women in sort of these more demanding jobs. If they're not, if their first kind of impulse isn't to engage in small talk or kind of the social niceties, uh, to consider them severe. Now, I do think that she helped that with the way that she styled her hair, but I thought she was incredibly competent and kind. And I think that, she showed a lot of humanity just thinking about her patient. Again, you don't have to like Lindsay. You can think that she needs to be punished, but you can also, in your capacity as a nurse, treat her with care and compassion the way you would treat any patient. And all the medical professionals, with great exception to the last two psychiatrists, have all shown themselves to be, in my opinion, caring, competent human beings who are bothered by the loss of their patients and want to do a good job. I know that the emergency room doctor really rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. I didn't interpret her as being cold or unfeeling, but I do want to go back and look at that testimony because there are some times where I won't pick up on things that may be bugbears for a large part of the population. But I do want to go back and rewatch it and see if maybe I was distracted or didn't notice the things that other people are picking up on.
Stop right there, raise your right hand to the clerk, please.
Good afternoon. You solemnly swear that the testimony of Mr. Tippett to the court and the jury will be the outcome between the court and the record. I should hear the truth about you.
Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, Your Honor.
Read Buckingham, please.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Could you please tell the jurors your first and last name?
Corey Mello,
And can you spell your first name for the record?
Corymelo.
And your last name? And how are you employed?
I work for the state police.
And what unit or what's your current assignment with the state police?
Currently, I work for the commercial vehicle enforcement section.
Going back to January of 2023, what was your assignment then?
I work for the Plymouth County District Attorney's Office at that time.
With the state police detective unit?
Correct, yes.
And I'm going to draw your attention to January 24th, 2023. Were you involved in the investigation into the incident that occurred at 47 Summer Street in Duxbury on January 24th?
Yes, I was.
And fair to say that when state police got involved in that investigation, a large group of the state police detective unit went out to Duxbury to work that investigation.
Correct.
Were you the case officer in that case?
I was not the case officer.
Your role in that case, was that to assist in things like search warrants, neighborhood canvasses, interviewing of witnesses?
Correct, yes.
And in this particular investigation, you're aware that there was a search warrant executed at 47 Summer Street after the incident had occurred, correct?
Correct.
And as part of the search warrant execution, were you involved in searching the home?
Yes, I was.
And did you search?
Okay, I'm going to say something because my brain has been begging me to say it for the last, since this man got on the stand. But I am so happy that even though Wednesday is in, production hiatus, we get this little flash forward and Pugsley becomes a DA investigator. I know that was a long way around to say that this man reminds me of Pugsley, but there you have it.
The various floors of the home, meaning the basement, that first floor, and the second floor?
Yes.
In searching that home, there were a number of other detectives and troopers also searching, correct?
Correct.
Do you recall locating a phone in the upstairs bedroom, a laptop, some workout bands in the basement that were hanging on the door?
Yes, I do.
And when you recovered these particular items or located these items, did you then turn them into an evidence officer, direct an evidence officer to things that you thought might have some evidentiary value?
Yes.
At some point after the search warrant was over, you're aware a lot of items were brought back for further examination, correct?
Correct.
Is that common that when you're working on a search warrant, things are kind of... Mm-hmm.
That's okay.
I said what I said. The man is, look, I didn't make this, so I didn't ask this. Reality made this man the doppelganger of Pugsley. I simply noticed and said it out loud.
You all right?
Is it common that a lot of times a search warrant, things are collected and brought back for further examination?
Yes.
Is that because it's kind of chaotic there and can't really examine things thoroughly on scene?
That's correct, yes.
So in this particular circumstance, were you asked to review some books and journals?
Yes, I was.
And I'm just gonna... If I may approach the witness.
Sure.
I'm just showing you an item. Is that familiar to you?
Yes, it is.
You didn't locate this on that night, did you?
No, I did not.
But you had the opportunity to review the contents of it at a later date?
Correct.
I would move to admit this iron journal.
No objection. All right, that may be admitted. Kelsey, can I see you sidebar just for a second?
His sticky widget, these are I cast upon myself a spell of brows of truth. Um they prevent me from they shield me from the bounds of social niceties, but also allow me to talk about my feelings without having them. They're magic. They are my magical feelings eyebrows. And I have found that they're oddly comforting in this trial. So I am able to talk about all sorts of terrible, horrible, no good things without losing my soul. Uh, Now, I am not sure what my soon to be psychiatrist will say with my emotional support brows. Oh, yes. Thank you for the straw and my food. Mr. Mo knows the key to everything is keeping Mo fed because she will not feed and water herself or on her own. She gets way too into explaining emotional support eyebrows and then doesn't remember to eat. So when he is out and about, he asks, like, hey, have you eaten today? To which I always have to sheepishly say, what is today? Eh, eh, You guys, legitimately, this is my life. I do a morning news show where I am uniquely aware of the date and time that all of the headlines currently inhabit. But in my own personal, landscape, the day of the week is confusing.
All right, Como?
Thank you. Trooper Mello, just in relation to now what's been marked as Exhibit 151, the Brown Journal, and just noting that when the journal opens to the first page, there's no dates on it, correct?
Correct.
And in those first few pages, just highlighting page 1, you reviewed these handwritten entries, and at some point in this paragraph, it says, obsessed with his sleep and nap schedule like to the minute. Says hearing him cry for 1+ hours and not intervening just about killed me. I even said the words, I want to die to Pat while he was crying. After that, I became obsessed with his sleep and nap schedule like to the minute. That's one of the entries you reviewed and noted.
This sounds like a legitimate mom who's at the end of her rope who is trying to do what all the, all the non-medical things, take all your anxieties, dump them out, journal them out at the end of the night. You don't have to date it. Just get all of those bad thoughts out so they don't bother you. I mean, excuse me for noticing, but she seems like she's trying to do everything she can to white knuckle her way through anxiety or through her existence, with all the tools that she had available. How is this manipulation?
Yes.
Page 2 says, I also feel like I did it wrong because I did it when he was overtired, so it made it harder. Now I have horrible insomnia and anxiety. You recall reviewing that in the journal.
Correct, yes.
Page 4 of the journal says, why else I feel guilty? He's not really hitting his milestones. Again, that's a page that's not dated in this journal, correct?
Correct.
And I think that and I have made the pointed observation that I don't think that either of the Commonwealth attorneys have children, and that is not a knock on them. If they chose to not have children or it's just something they haven't gotten to, I understand, but there has not been a night for about 20 years where I haven't second guessed at least a couple moments of the day and wondered if I couldn't have been a better mom. And most of us who have these kind of intrusive thoughts or these anxieties or these worries, they come from a deep place of love that we don't want to screw this up. This is the most important job we have ever been given, and we do not want to mess it up. So to boil it all down to it being manipulative, um, is is I think something that you couldn't do if you were a parent. Because a lot of this parenting thing is second guessing yourself and hoping that one day your children maybe they won't, understand everything you did, but will understand that you were human and you were trying the best you could. And even if that didn't come out the right way or in the way that your child needed in that moment, it was never a deliberate act of neglect or cruelty. We were just human, trying to be the best parents we could. And that basic lack of understanding, I think, fundamentally undermines their case because it makes everything that Lindsay did manipulative instead of giving that modicum of, again, humanity and empathy that maybe you think this is more put on than it was, but there was a genuine place that it was coming from, and you can admit that without losing any power in your case. It's not all or nothing. And the fact that they continue to try to paint this as solely being manipulative is grating.
Page 8.
To whoever was bitching about the high-pitched noise, there was the court pterodactyl. It's right on the edge of where, like, that dog whistle is. That's still an annoying noise for me. I don't know who needs to hear this, but dog whistles are annoying. They are. I can hear them, or at least to some extent, the pitch, uh, that I can perceive is annoying and makes me hurt, and I feel bad for the dogs.
I'm completely overwhelmed trying to take care of the 3 kids. I feel like I'm drowning every day. Again, another page that's not dated.
Correct.
At some point, there are
All of these could have been entries with me and when the young feral boys were babies. Legitimately, I don't know some days how we survived those years with 3 boys under 4. I don't know. I don't know. I know some days Mr. Mo would come home and he legitimately would just see me sitting on the couch, rocking back and forth because I was so overstimulated. I was so overwhelmed. I was so worried that I was screwing all of this up. And that was just normal, homebody, trying to be a good mom and keep the house going. I didn't have the added, pressures of going back to work or looking for daycare or all of those other things. And even if you've never been diagnosed with struggling with anxiety or depression, this is not every mom has felt this to some extent, and to label it as manipulation and being a bad mom, again, how many more moms are we going to make mask and hide and not get help if help is available?
are some dated pages in this journal, fair to say, right?
Yes.
And there's one on November 18th. And November 18th, that page reads, "It's like I'm so desperate to get a mental break from taking care of everyone that my mind is trying to make something physically wrong with me." You recall reviewing that in the journal?
Yes.
Now, in addition to the Brown Journal, when you were back at the office, you also had the occasion to review some of the other journals collected, right?
Correct.
This journal I'm holding up, exhibit number 147, is that familiar to you?
Yes.
And again, this is a journal that has handwritten notes in it, very similar to the handwriting in the Brown Journal you reviewed.
Yes.
And fair to say, the entries in this notebook only span a few pages and only go from October 13th as the first entry and the last one being January 18th, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And this third journal that you reviewed after the search warrant, exhibit number 50, the yellow journal with Callan Clancy's name on it. You recall that?
Yes, I do.
And you are aware Callan Clancy was one of the children.
Yes.
Okay. And in this instance, did you?
Again, I'm not asking for a theatrical show. I don't want you to perform a compassion to a level which you're uncomfortable, but not just callously like throwing out. So this was Callum. This was one of the kids, one of the kids that didn't make it. You could say, this was the notebook for Callum, correct? It's just sort of the blasé way that they throw the children's names out. And I'm not saying that they have to become sacred, like words or anything like that, but just a scotch of reverence. Just a scotch, just a little, these were Callum's, correct? And that's all you need. You don't need to be like, and this, and then go on a 30-minute diatribe. Just a small little pause, just a recognition, I think would do so much to soften these two Commonwealth attorneys, and they wouldn't be hard things to do.
You see similar handwriting from the other two journals that you reviewed?
Yes, I believe there was two separate.
Okay. At some point in this, these entries, you began to notice there were other handwriting.
Correct.
At the time you were looking at this, did you know who the other handwriting was?
At the time, no.
Who it belonged to? Okay. And fair to say, reviewing the contents of it, it's a pretty detailed list of a schedule for the baby.
Correct.
Again, I don't know if anyone's ever had toddlers and a newborn and trying to establish a sleep schedule that allows you to be a functional human being. But when you are dealing with, kind of toddlers and then a newborn, you are dealing with different sleep schedules, different needs, and you might need to write it all down because you're sleep deprived.
I have nothing further.
All right. Mr. Reddington.
So one of the things that the district attorney did was read to you certain entries from what is referred to in your report as the Tree of Life Artisan Journal, correct?
Correct.
And when you refer in the report to the Tree of Life Artisan Journal, is that this here? What do you call the Tree of Life? Is there a diagram or a picture of the tree on it?
Should have a tree on it, yes.
But in any event, you would recall that particular diary or notebook set forth on a number of pages her feelings dealing with her children. Is that fair?
It's fair to say, yes, sir.
And you wrote in your report on page 19 of 63, counsel asked you first about her stating that she had horrible PTSD from sleep training Callan, hearing him cry for 1 hour plus and not intervening just about killed me. I even said the words, "I want to die" to Pat while he was crying. He would be the baby, right?
Correct.
And this is her saying that not being able to go to her child because they were trying to do sleep training, she indicated that it was just about killing her, correct?
That's what was stated, yes.
And after that, I, meaning Lindsay, became obsessed with his sleep and nap schedule. Like to the minute, I would tell Lainey, and you know who Lainey is, right?
Yes.
Who's Lainey?
The other child.
The what?
I'm sorry again. What's this?
Lainey.
Lainey.
Laney. Laney. Laney.
Don't recall this time.
Do you recall that she had a young lady, or they had a young lady that was in their home helping with the baby while she was
I
supposed
don't recall this time.
Okay. That she would tell Laney to put him down at 10:36. I would also drive him around for car naps for hours every day, feeling guilty for doing this to my baby. Do you recall making that notation?
Yes.
I also feel guilty we did it too young, parenthesis, 1 week shy of 4 months, end parenthesis, right?
Correct.
You also noted in your report that I also, quote, I also feel like I did it wrong because I did it when he was overtired, so I made it harder. I now have horrible insomnia and anxiety, which is causing depression. I have no appetite. I don't know what's wrong with me. I want help. I want to be well. You saw that in there, didn't you?
Yes.
And then she went on and said, I think the anxiety started after sleep training. Doctor said it was okay to let him cry. I need to get a good night's sleep and take care of him, rocking him to sleep every nap in bed in the middle of the night. She noted that, right?
Yes.
Noting further in separate occasion, he's still a very happy baby despite his sleep training. Why I feel guilty is not really hitting his milestones, not rolling over, although he almost is, exclamation point. And he's babbling, which is a new milestone. She wrote that, right?
Correct.
She wrote, I have crazy brain fog. I feel like I can't make a plan. I can't carry it out. Like I just live moment to moment, waiting for the next nap time. I'm terrified of Cal getting overtired now because I feel I can't help him. She wrote that, right?
Correct.
She then wrote, I'm really worried about going back to work and not being able to function with the brain fog. I feel like I should start with a 4-hour shift and see how I do. I can't tell if I am withdrawing from Ativan and Benadryl, or is this my new baseline? I feel completely disconnected with my baby. I feel like I'm going through the motions every day. She wrote that, right?
Correct.
And there were a number of other entries that you put in your police report about that, one of which was that I feel horribly guilty.
Actually, I think we all need a moxie break. Let's have a moxie break. Darn this trial, because there will be stretches of absolute stupid, and God bless the defense for bringing out the truth of this woman shouting in a journal to professionals, to her husband, for help.
I take it down. Woo! Hey. Oh yeah. I take it down, minute and a yeah. When the dark gets long and the tea is hot, and the motions filed are quite a lot. When the state says boom and defense says pass, that's when I call my mini ass so classy and sass. Woo! Oh, Moxie, the emotional support mini donkey, tiny but mighty, a courtroom honky tonky. If the trial goes sideways, she don't panic or balk, just a soft little hee-haw and a judgmental walk. Clip clop, trotting through the mess. Ears perked high and adorable distress. When the facts get wild and the lawyers get snarky, I lean on my emotional supporters. If a witness says I can't recall, she side-eyes gently from the stall. If the sidebar lasts all afternoon, she hums a brave that's slightly off tune. She's pocket-sized but bold of heart, a fluffy illegal work of art. From board down post to verdict day, she snacks on hay and leads the way. Oh, Moxie, queen of the pasture class, small but ruling the law to grasp. When the timeline spirals and takes get funky, there's peace in a steadfast mini donkey. Clip clop, courage, fluffy and spunky. All hail the emotional support as Moxie. Oh.
Just taking a break. For those of us who have struggled with masking, or, trying to find help or trying to make sense of things, I have found covering these trials, and especially this trial, it's hit me a lot more emotionally, personally. And that's not to take away from the tragedy of losing these precious children and all of the other destruction. But I found that this has been harder for me to deal with because it mirrors so much of our own, individual journeys with either mental health or chronic pain, or so many things, that it really is hard to sometimes hear those words that we have said to ourselves, said by someone else.
About my marriage. I want to connect with Pat again. I know he needs it. I need it. I'm terrified because I'm terrified of the relationship She needs to get birth control first. She made reference to her inability to have conjugal relations with her husband, right?
I believe so.
She indicated further on into her travels, I am completely overwhelmed trying to take care of the kids. I'm drowning every day. I feel guilty that I'm spending my family's money and not making any. I feel like I spend way too much. She wrote that, right?
Correct.
I'm terrified of Callan getting sick. He's a sick baby. A sick baby is miserable. He's sick now with a double ear infection, clearly has a bellyache. It's miserable. I feel like the other kids are going to get him sick all winter long. She wrote that, right?
Correct.
I always feel strongly against sleep training. I feel like it's abusive to let the baby cry and not respond, but I made the decision. I did it with Cal. It is way too much crying. It's incredibly stressful. She wrote that, right?
Correct.
He's okay. He will be okay. It's not harmful in any way. The doctor said it was okay. Plenty of people sleep train their kids at that age. It's necessary as a third child, is what she wrote, right?
Correct.
I feel incredibly sad and guilty about not breastfeeding anymore. That was the one thing I could do to help his immune system, and I can tell he really doesn't like the formula. I'm very sad about this. I know at this time it's what I need.
All right. I don't know if a mom needs to hear this, but as a certified mom of 6, let me tell you things you need to stop beating yourself up from an expert at beating themselves up. I am the world heavyweight champion, welterweight, and featherweight because I fluctuate. Breastfeeding or not breastfeeding, your baby's getting fed and you're doing okay, mom. Going back to work, not going back to work. You're supporting your family in the way that works right for your family. You know, natural birth or epidural. You just birthed an entire human being. Give your body some credit. Not bouncing back or wanting to bounce right back into your body. Your body just went through a almost full year when you take postpartum getting back to normal of creating life, of to its detriment, you know, supporting a whole new human being. There are 1,000 ways to parent, and that's the beauty of it. You don't have to parent to anyone's expectations or anyone's, you know, needs other than making sure that you and your baby, your family are healthy, happy, and safe. Motherhood looks different and is going to look different for every family. And instead of beating up other moms, how about we support them for doing what's right for their family? And you know what? If at the end of the days, moms, your kiddos are fed, your kiddos are happy, and and you have survived the day, then you've survived the day because sometimes motherhood is surviving the minute, the hour, the meltdown, the breakdown, the Walmart trip, the dentist trip, and just surviving to the end of it. And from a veteran mom, some days that is what winning the battle, winning the war looks like. And how about we support moms instead of judging them for what looks right with their family? Because I know that we could all use a hell of a lot more support and a hell of a lot less judgment if we want to get on in this world. And thank you, Granny Smith, for being a member for 15 months. Send some love. Thank you so much. I hope that the computer stuff has come back online, or at least it's not super chaotic.
To do for my mental health. She wrote that, right?
Correct.
And then the statement started getting smaller and smaller as time went by. One occasion, it's like I'm desperate to get a mental break from taking care of everyone. My mind is trying to make something physically wrong with me. My mind never shuts off. It's constantly thinking of the next thing someone needs. I can't shut it off. I desperately want to go back to work, but now I don't know how I'm going to function, and it worries me. Wrote that, right?
Correct.
There were two consecutive or 2 pages that were blank that she didn't even write on. And then on the third entry, affirmations. She wrote affirmations. On November 22nd of 2022, I am calm. I will remain calm today. There is nothing that needs to be on my mind. The weight is lifted from my mind. I will sleep tonight. She wrote that, right?
Correct.
Continuing on into November, I slept well last night. I will sleep again tonight. Today will be a great day. I will go back to work on Sunday. I will thrive. I can feel like myself again. That was November 23rd. She wrote that, right?
I believe that's the day, yes.
Gratitude. I'm grateful for Sue, who's always listening. That'd be a mother-in-law. You knew that, right?
Yes.
So I'm grateful to Sue for always listening and trying her best to help me. Kids are sleeping great for Pat. Pat is handling nighttime stuff. Julie for making a plan for me. A big thing is I feel disconnected with myself. Time, reality. I think going back to work will help.
Do you understand what a profound statement that is? And I need to take a moment to pause here. This is the only way you experience reality. And when the way that you have always experienced reality suddenly becomes foreign to you, that's scary. Your entire world is different. I'm 5 years into learning, my new brain, because it's not the brain I had before I got injured and have a chronic nerve condition. And the profound aloneness you feel when you have to admit, even to a journal, that you don't know who you are anymore. You are basically faking this, and the only place you can be real and admit it is in a journal. The profound cry for help that is. Just because it's a single sentence and it's not a long one, and it's not incredibly detailed, what is encompassed in that sentence is profound, and it's terrifying if you're living it.
Help with that. She wrote that, right?
Correct.
And then there are numbers of pages, 22 of 63, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, all reproducing what counsel asked you about and what I just went through that were from those journals, right?
Correct.
Did you have anything to do with the search of the house?
Yes.
Did you search in the bedroom?
Yes.
How many other people were with you searching in the bedroom?
I don't recall how many other people were with me at the time.
You know why nobody looked in the drawer and found pills and sleep aids and Apple Watches?
I'm not aware.
Did you see the drawer?
I don't recall.
What?
I don't recall.
Okay. That's all I have, Jess.
Redirect.
Nothing further. Thank
Yes. So now we are on to current day. Now I have not been able to watch ahead. When I am doing more deep divey stuff like this at our own pace, it's harder for me to keep tabs of things that are going on current trials. So I'm not sure who our first witness is going to be. Oh, share this tab. Quite a
The
long.
effective.
This is the very first time I've seen movement in the court. So hopefully.
I'll show you, Rhoda. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right.
May I swear in Ms. Clancy?
Yeah, what we're going to do at this point, Ms. Clancy, my understanding is that you, through counsel, have offered to stipulate to certain facts that would be introduced during the course of this trial. So what I want to do is just ask you a series of questions to make sure that you understand the effect of stipulating to these facts. So I'm going to just ask you some brief questions at this point. And then we'll kind of go from there. So if you could swear Ms. Clancy in, please.
Please raise your right hand.
Yes and no. I understand. Look, part of this, being in YouTube is that it is entertaining and salaciousness does get views. So do I find it distasteful? Do I find it prejudicial to call her the accused killer mom? Yes, but it's factually true. So it's a it's a ick, but it's an ick I can live with and understand the logic behind, even if I still find it ick.
All right, Ms. Clancy, I have been shown
And Lady Autumn Sky, that was a lot for me. It brought up stuff I didn't expect. I'll finish later. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. And honestly, that has been the hardest part of this trial is not in an egotistical way, the way this inner trial intersects with a lot of things that I've been dealing with the past 5 years. Um, it brings up a lot that I wasn't, that I wasn't aware I was gonna feel. So take your breaks, that's why we're taking our time, because this has hit me harder than I thought it would, and not in at all in the way I thought it would.
list or summary of stipulations. It's been marked as exhibit or J for identification. So it's my understanding that you are requesting or offering to stipulate to certain facts. Is that correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And before I accept that, I got to make sure, ask you some questions, make sure that your decision to do so is voluntary, that you understand the consequences. So I'm going to ask.
Me either. I find it very hard to remain linear. I don't often date things. It's more of a verbal vomit. Yeah, Vinnie Politain, he's not my go-to cup of tea all the time. There is a level of salaciousness and sort of personal. Look, the reality is that to work in publicity, you have a certain extent in ego. So Vinnie Politain is doing what any sort of entertainer is doing, right or wrong. He's self-promotion. And and I get it. It's the same thing like the Chiron. I get it. I don't always like it, but I understand where it comes from. Uh He's not as offensive to me as the Ken doll looking guy from or Law and Crime. The one that's like, "Hi, our partners, Ken and Ken Associates, will help you if you've been hit."
Ask you some questions. If at any time you need to speak to Mr. Reddington or you have any questions or have problems understanding what I'm saying, just let me know, okay? All right. Now, do you understand that the Commonwealth, in this case, is required to prove each and every element of the case against you beyond a reasonable doubt? Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. You understand that there are certain facts that could be introduced during the course of the trial that would might support the Commonwealth's position regarding those elements. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And you understand that by signing the stipulation, you're agreeing that the Commonwealth does not have to prove these certain facts that are contained in the stipulation. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. And do you understand by signing or going along with that stipulation, you are basically.
Samantha Shoelover, this is very similar to kind of the colloquy or the kind of one-on-one talk that the judge would have with the defendant prior to testifying, but this is not in relation to that yet. This is about kind of stipulating to a lot of the things that the defense had wanted stipulated, so we won't have to go over, a bunch of first responders and things like that. Uh, so it will be interesting to see what in fact facts were stipulated to, but I also think that this might be strategic on the side of the Commonwealth. I think they are realizing, and not through me, like, I doubt the Commonwealth sits at home and looks through my opinions, but there have been very many, lawyers and judges who have been very, very scornful and critical of their performance and their lack of willingness to stipulate and get to the, real point of this case, the why. So I think that they are finally understanding how incredibly poorly they have been putting on this trial thus far, and how much they have rubbed not only the general public, but increased support for Lindsay. Again, the facts are what the facts are. So if everything thrown on the table, seems to lean to a reasonable, certainty that she was reaching out for help and didn't get the help that she deserved, I I think that that's going to win the day, but the Commonwealth really shot themselves in the foot with the way they presented the first 6 days of this trial.
Relieving the Commonwealth of its burden to prove those certain facts. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
Is that what you want to do at this point?
Yes.
All right. Have you gone over this stipulation or the summary of the stipulations with Attorney Reddington?
Yes, I have.
All right. Need any more time to do that?
No, thank you.
All right. By entering into this stipulation, you're giving up some important rights. So I kind of want to go over those with you at this time. Do you understand? By law, you're presumed to be innocent of each charge against you, and you do not have to prove your innocence. All right. So instead, at trial, the Commonwealth, as I said to you before, has the burden of proving you are guilty of each element of the charges against you. And by entering into this stipulation, you're giving up your right to force the Commonwealth to prove the facts that are contained in these stipulations. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. You also, at trial, where we are now, you have the right to confront the witnesses that would testify about these facts. And by entering into this stipulation, you're giving up that right with respect to these stipulated facts. Do you understand that?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. You also, if you wanted to, could call your own witnesses at the trial to contest these stipulated facts if you want to. You understand you'd be giving up that right by entering into this stipulation.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. You also, at trial, have the right to remain silent and cannot be forced to testify at this. You understand, by entering into this stipulation, you're giving up in a limited way that right with respect to just those facts.
Yes, Your Honor.
All right. Are you doing this willingly and voluntarily?
Yes, I am.
All right. Has anyone forced you or threatened you to enter into this stipulation?
No, Your Honor.
Have you had enough time to talk to counsel about this?
Yes, I have.
All right. Are you? All right. I make the following findings. I find that Ms. Clancy is knowing.
I am looking through X to see if there's documentation, if anyone has been able to get the documentation of what was stipulated to, because they haven't clarified exactly what was being stipulated to. So let me do a quick run through of X. Oh goodness. There is an awful, or there was an awful wreck in Tennessee. Oh, ADHD is not good with TikTok. Okay, come on. You're here for an actual purpose. Stop looking at ridiculous. I am not seeing anywhere where the actual stipulation and what is being stipulated to is being clearly defined. If any of you are, randomly scrolling through X as we watch and you come across it, let me know. I'm not seeing anything right now, but I'm guessing it was the general things that the defense was asking, we know that the children were lost. We know that Lindsay was the person that did it. We know that there was life-saving measures that were tried on the children. I think also the chain of custody for all of the, blood and lab work and custody things, like that. So that's kind of what I think, they're stipulating to, possibly in addition to more emotional torture, but I could be wrong.
Intelligently, voluntarily, and willingly entered into the stipulation of the facts that are contained and summarized in Exhibit J for identification. I find that she is competent to enter into this stipulation. I find she understands the consequences of entering into this stipulation. So accordingly, I now accept the proposed stipulation of facts. Thank you.
I just would like, Your Honor, for the record, to again reiterate the fact that we have not been contesting the government's case in chief, if you will, have been agreeing to evidence, and this stipulation basically relieves the government of having to bring in dozens, if not more, witnesses to prove chain of custody of blood, fluids, the bands, DNA, all of that. Rather than have days of testimony, this stipulation will avoid that. So that's why we're stipulating to it.
All right. All right. Commonwealth, anything else you want to add? Okay. All right. So, like I said, I have made those findings. I'm going to accept the stipulation that Ms. Clancy has agreed to and that the parties have agreed to, consistent with J for identification. Counsel, are we ready for the jury then? Any further?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right.
Yes.
All right. Why don't we bring the jury in?
Yeah, that's right.
You know what? You know what's gonna piss me off beyond all measure is that I know every morning this is coming. I will know every day for the next 6 to 8 weeks that this ridiculous 3 times gavel and then another gavel, gunshot is gonna go off, and it's gonna startle the ever living hell out of me every damn time.
Hear ye, all persons having anything to do before the Honorable William Sullivan, Justice of the Superior Court now sitting in Plymouth, within for the Commonwealth. Draw near, give your attendance, and you shall be heard. God save the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. This court is now in session. Please be seated.
Good morning, Your Honor. May I proceed?
Yes, please.
Your Honor, before the court today, we have the
Now, I am going to be turning this up a bit, and look, this is a dumpster fire of a trial, and the only way we're going to survive is with a little bit of light mockery, and, the person speaking right now in the full falsetto, befitting a BG is the court clerk who happens to have the most 80s hair that has ever been. And I have been working on my voice, so I think I almost have it. How does she do that? Honestly, falsetto range is hard for me as a contralto, so really asking for a friend. Oh, I'm gonna have to look that up. Off the top of my head, I have absolutely no idea. I think early 30s. but I am guessing legitimately.
Good morning, Your Honor. May I proceed?
Yes, please.
Your Honor, before the court today, we have the continuation of the jury trial in the matter of Commonwealth versus Lindsay Clancy. Ms. Clancy is present. She is represented by Attorney Kevin Reddington.
Okay, that's about all I can do.
Represented by Assistant District Attorney Jennifer Sprague and Assistant District Attorney Shannon Buckingham.
Well, good morning, everyone. Sun's out today, a little nicer weather for us. Hope it was nice for you coming in here today. So what I'm going to do is ask you those questions, as I always do, and then I'll go over a little bit the schedule, and then we'll return to the Commonwealth's case. All right. So the first question, everybody's probably got it memorized by now anyway, but let me ask it. Has any member of the jury read, seen, heard, or overheard anything from any source about any aspect of this case that would affect your ability to be fair and impartial? All right. Last question, is there any other matter, serious matter or concern bearing on your service as a juror in this case that anybody needs to bring to my attention at this time?
I'm feeling an irrational hatred towards the Commonwealth. I'm maintaining my objectivity, but I am judging their mental acuity and many, many other things, Your Honor. Is it okay if 90% of my notes are ad hominem attacks on the Commonwealth? Asking for a friend. Yeah, actually, I would like to change my testimony. Irrational would mean that I don't have reason. I actually do have reasons that I would like to delineate with curse words if your liege would allow.
Again, thank you for following those instructions. Now, in regards to the schedule, if you remember, I said yesterday that sometimes we have to adjust on the fly, and that's going to be my call. Well, we may have to do that a little bit, all right? So today, we're going to go through some cases. Now, we may break a little bit early today, all right? And then tomorrow, there is a matter I'm going to have to talk to counsel pretty much in the afternoon. So the thought is tomorrow, the plan.
Granny Smith, I believe that she was showing so much emotional and kind of behavioral dysregulation that by the time that she would have, been expected and scheduled, had everything kind of gone normally to go back to work, um, she was struggling, she wasn't sleeping, so the decision was made for her to stay home and, try to adjust, try to get some sleep, according to, the testimony we've had from Patrick. So, they had saved up because, with their second child, Lindsay had experienced, a good bit of anxiety and difficulty going back to work. In fact, to hear Patrick speak about it, her dysregulation and her anxiety manifested around the thought of leaving her children and going back to work. Not so much that she didn't want her children and wanted to be free and didn't want to be a mom. That is the part of the narrative that the Commonwealth is trying to portray, that thus far they've not shown any evidence to prove that this has been a grand conspiracy. With Letitia Stalk, we had uh, reams and reams of evidence of her Google searches, which indicated that she was unhappy in her marriage. She thought she could do better. We have not seen a single iota that Lindsay was on, oh gosh, is it Grinder or Tinder, the straight one or the lesbian one? I don't know. Is Grinder only for gay guys? I don't know. Um, she wasn't on a bunch of dating sites or Ashley Madison or, help me, I no longer want to be a mom. When she was expending her energy to try to do stuff beyond mothering, it was, why do I feel so disconnected to my body? She was doing workbooks about postpartum anxiety and depression, so I'm having a really hard time understanding where the Commonwealth is coming up with this narrative that she was manipulative. She didn't want to be a mom anymore. So she did all of this because it doesn't make sense to me. Unless they have a big like poster board where Lindsay was like, just kidding, Uno reverse. I did this all intentionally. Joke's on you. I need to know where you came up with this perception and this idea or this what facts back this up because all I've seen that you've presented thus far is a woman that was screaming for help.
And for you should be pretty much 9 to 1. All right. And then the afternoon, I'm going to deal with counsel in regards to some other issues that will, I believe, keep this case going well on track. And that's kind of where we are. So I just kind of wanted to give you that update. So that's, like I said, the best we could do. Give you as much notice in regards to that. But you will not, I say we, you will not be sitting here tomorrow afternoon. We may be. And so with that, what we're going to do is continue with the Commonwealth's case. We're going to go back. Commonwealth, call your next witness, please.
Thank you. The Commonwealth would call Christina Carpio.
Good morning. Can you stop right there and raise your right hand?
It's almost better the testimony that is just
Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
All right. Buckingham, please.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning.
Could you please tell the jury your first and last name?
Christina Carpio.
And can you spell your last name for the record?
C-A-R-P as in Peter, I-O.
And what do you do for work?
I am a general surgeon trained in trauma and critical.
Now, I believe that having looked ahead at some of the things, it does appear that the next gajillion witnesses are all witnesses that were supposed to be stipulated to. Here, you guys, here's what we're going to do. We watch this at our own pace. It looks like they are taking a short day for the next 2 days, and I do anticipating going longer tomorrow to try to catch up because it is the kiddos' first day of school, and I'll actually have like quiet, no interruptions. So I am going to stop our stream here and send you guys over to Megan Fox, her channel. She is doing so in all honesty and transparency, it is not an easy trial to watch, but we are talking about a case where good wins. This family was accused of child abuse by doctors who did not listen, who were not curious, and would not, listen to this family and all of the medical, issues that this little girl had, and attempted to break up a family and put these parents in prison for 80 years over a medical defect that they absolutely refused to believe was true despite evidence and testing and world-renowned experts, basically proving beyond any doubt that this little girl, was dealing with a lot of medical issues, not parents who didn't love her. But it is an absolute blast when I get to hang out with Megan, and I think we all need a bit of a palate cleanser. There's a lot more snark, but good wins in that trial, and we know it does. So I will be over there in just a minute. I'm going to use the restroom because 6 children does not a strong bladder make. But remember, on Friday, eat your heart out, heart. I am going for it. minus the ruffles. I don't have anything in my closet that has ruffles. I'm religiously against them. So we use our imaginations. I will see you guys in just a minute over on Megan's. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. And, we will just go at our own pace and we will watch as we can because this is a rough trial and this is bringing out a lot in, our community of chronic painers and chronic illness, mental health, that it just takes a little longer and that's okay. So bye, you guys.